This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
Sports fans love a place with great food, cold drinks, and TVs everywhere. That's why sports fans love Sports Grill and their 7 amazing locations. Check out the Bird Road location at 11481 Southwest 40th Street in the back corner of the West Bird Shopping Center. Sports Grill is also now offering some great employment opportunities. All kinds of positions are now available from kitchen to hosting. Call for more information at 305-485-8845. From wraps to salads to amazingly delicious specialty dishes, Sports Grill is the home to the legendary special grilled wings. Since 1987, Sports Grill, good food, good drink, and good friends.
It's the Big O Show. Judge, you tuned in to the hottest sports radio.
When you need your warehouse looking good while staying efficient, there's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Pallet Rack City is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a great rack? Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547.
Orlando, a.k.a. the Big O. He covers all the South Florida teams.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
Dolphins to the heat, well, you know what I mean. Monday to Friday, lollipop blow in the...
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Show on the radio, the top's where we gonna go, Miami, that's the way we roll.
Folks, you can support the hardest working sports talk show in South Florida through Cash App or Venmo. Just search Cash Big O Show. Support us through Cash App or Venmo. Cash Big O Show. We thank you for your incredible support.
On the morning show, Big O, no one has a similar show. Talk sports, talk plays, talk...
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
Live and direct, because nobody do it better than Big O in the set. From sunrise, listen live.
When you're ready to purchase a new home or refinance the one you have, American Dream Lending will make sure your loan experience is easy with fast approvals and quick closings. With many loan programs and competitive rates, now is the time to turn your dreams into reality. Ask about special financing for veterans. They never charge an application fee and you will work directly with one of their experienced loan professionals. Stop dreaming and contact American Dream Lending today, 786-802-1727 or online at adreamlending.com. The viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of fantasyxs.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
All right, ready to rock and roll on a beautiful Wednesday. It is a hump day. It's the day before the massacre on Thursday. It's, what can I tell you? It is what it is. We're sporting the hat because we're a little week away from our return to Hialeah Park on a weekly basis, baby. We're going to be at the poker room. We'll be, you know what we always do in the poker room, right when we open the show, we freak everybody out in the poker room because I yell out welcome aboard and all that, and everybody freaks. And then they kind of relax and all that. So we'll do that. And got a lot of things happening over there at Hialeah Park. It's going to be good. And I think we might even make an appearance or two even at Santa's Enchanted Forest. So who knows? Maybe we'll have some giveaways here for you guys. I don't know if you want to take kids, family, that kind of stuff, maybe to little Santa's Enchanted Forest. We will work all of that. I see the chat board's already active. I've noticed that it's become like a sports crypto show now. I'm going through, I fell behind on the text line and I apologize. I'm catching up now because it's hundreds of texts. Okay. And I got to be honest, like we have lots of people contributing on the show, but basically it's Sean and I carrying like all the weight. We got to do everything. Not only do Sean and I carry our own weight, but we also carry the weight of the show. Okay. And Sean, you would agree that's a lot of weight for us. You know what I'm saying? That's, it's a lot, but we're hanging in there. So I apologize to all of you out there that I'm getting back to catching up to my texts and everything at 855-912-1056. It is, it's and thank you. I hate that I fell behind, but it's hundreds, man. It's hard to catch up. Okay. It's hours. Okay. I think I'll spend a few more hours tonight trying to catch up to all the texts that are in there, man. It is just awesome. So thank you all. Suggestions, compliments, complaints, all that kind of stuff. And that's what comes with the territory, and that's fine. That's all good. So we'll see. Anyway, so if you want to get in, of course, the text line is 855-912-1056. You can also reach out to us on Twitter at Big O Show. You can reach out by making a donation to Cash App or Venmo. We get 100% of that donation. The links are right there on the YouTube page. If you're on the podcast, Cash App or Venmo, Cash Big O Show is the address. That's Cash Big O Show, of course. And we got a loaded show today. Franco Panizo is going to stop by at 10:30. We're going to get his thoughts on recapping of the season of Inter Miami, which was another mediocre season. We'll see what the future holds, what he thinks the future may hold for the team. At 11 o'clock, Alan Poupar is going to stop by for his weekly, roundabout with us to talk a little Miami Dolphins and our Sports Grill Miami Dolphins Insider Report. Remember, tomorrow we're at Sports Grill. All right, we start off the broadcast at 6:20. Kickoff is at 8:20. We always do it 2 hours before the kickoff. Joe Shad is already set to join us as always. We are lining up a couple of guests also for the pregame show. We will have an abbreviated show tomorrow morning. Sean and myself will have it's not going to be a full 3 hour. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot do 3 hours tomorrow and then do 4 hours of a pre and post game show. And then I've got a Friday show that I've also got to do the following morning. I am one man, one voice, one throat. Don't want any more polyps in my throat. Okay. So I got to kind of pace myself a little bit here, and we will do our best. So, it might be a little abbreviated on Thursday morning, and I don't know how we're going to handle Friday. The good thing, I will say this, I get to rest the voice Saturday and Sunday. So that is very good for me that I get to rest the voice Saturday and Sunday. Although my wife didn't make me my honey and lemon today. I'm a little pissed about that. She left without making me the honey and lemon today, because I've been doing that. I've been drinking a little honey and lemon, a little warm honey and lemon, and just to kind of, it's I would imagine it's a lot like oil in an engine. It kind of keeps it lubricated, so it's all good and it doesn't overheat. It's kind of the same concept. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only thing that I don't like, that I don't have. Don't have my honey and lemon. I'm kind of getting used to it. Anyway, hope you all are doing well out there on a beautiful Wednesday. We got several things to talk about today on the show. Remember the Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint show. Normally it's at 9 to 10, but Ira's out on the West Coast. So the beauty of digital is that we will adjust. And so the show will be a little later today. Instead, it'll be at 11:45. So it'll be 11:45 to 12:45. That'll be the hour for the Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint show. So you can be prepared for that in a little while. You'll get your basketball fix with the fellas, which is good stuff there. Appreciate them as always, man. A lot of things to talk about. Heat are back in action tonight against the Lakers. I'm sure they'll talk about that at 10 o'clock. I hate that this thing is so late. Now we've got the Heat. By the way, tomorrow night, when you come on out for the Dolphins and the Ravens, you're also coming out to see a little Heat Clippers, because we'll have TVs on the Dolphins and we'll have a couple TVs on the Heat and the Lakers once 10 o'clock rolls around. So if you're out there with us watching the game and praying for the best, at least we'll have the Heat to watch, which, by the way, I want to thank the Clippers last night. I took the Clippers minus 2.5. We won. I didn't post my picks yesterday. I went 2-0. I took the Bucks minus 6.5, and I took the Clippers minus 2.5 last night. So we went 2-0 last night in the NBA slate. That was actually really good. I was looking for the line for tonight on the app a little while ago. I don't know if it's come up yet, but they didn't have it a little while ago. Let me see if they've updated it, and we've got a Heat Lakers line right now. Let's see. Yes, we do. The Heat are favored by 4.5 at LA tonight, and the over and under is 213.5. Interesting. What's the NBA slate tonight? Let me see what we got. We got a full slate too, man. We got Brooklyn favored by 9.5 over Orlando. The over and under is 209.5. We've got Washington favored by 3.5 over Cleveland in Cleveland. Over and under is 208.5. I'll be in Cleveland at the end of the month. Detroit is at Houston, and the Rockets are favored by 3.5. Two bad teams. Over and under is 210.5. The Milwaukee Bucks, thank you last night for your win as you pulled away late in that game and gave me the win. They are favored by they actually are a dog, the Bucks, by 4.5 at New York. So the Knicks are favored over the Bucks 4.5 points tonight, 216.5. That's an interesting line, man. That's an interesting line. I got to look and see if there's any injuries because I don't remember an injury last night that really. Well, no, yeah, that's right. I think Middleton wasn't on the court. That's right. But man, that's you're almost tempted to take the dog on the road, but it's a back to back. And I gotta check it out. It might be Milwaukee's third game in 4 nights too. So this might be one of those that you always got to look at the schedule. So when you're looking at it at some of these NBA games, be careful with some of these teams that are on road trips and they're playing like their third game in 4 nights or something like that. Dead legs seem to, kind of take its toll there. So that's always one of those little tips that a lot of people know, but just in case if you don't, you always got to look out for. Toronto is at Boston. Boston favored by 2.5. The over and under is 206.5. I can't trust Boston. And I'm not at the point where I'm trusting Toronto either. That's a game that I will definitely stay away from. Charlotte is at Memphis. I got to look and see if there aren't any serious injuries with Charlotte. I like this game. Memphis is favored by 5.5. I think Charlotte can keep this close. I think Charlotte will lose the game, but I think they'll keep it within 5.5. I got to look it up and see if there's any injuries. I'll look it up throughout the show, but that might be one there that I might be leaning to right there. Let's see. Chicago favored by 4.5 against Dallas at home. So Dallas on the road, a dog, and it's 215.5. New Orleans is favored by 4.5 over 8 OKC. Man, 2 train wrecks. I don't know what you want to do with that one. I'll stay away from that. 209.5 is the over and under. Sacramento is at San Antonio, and the Spurs are favored by 1.5. God, that's an iffy one. Also, Denver. There'll be no Jokic tonight, right? Because he's suspended. I would imagine this is the suspended game. So Indy is favored by 3.5 in Denver with no Jokic. No Joker, you are in. How about that? Do you take Indiana on there? Indiana's a pretty good team. They're decent. They're a tough-minded team. Denver with no Jokic, how much of that will make a difference? Do you go with Indiana on the road? And the over and under 206.5 is kind of interesting, actually, because there'll be less defense on this court. So they're going to have to score some points. Maybe they go over that number. Got to look into that one. Phoenix is home against Portland, and Phoenix is favored by 5.5. Over and under is 222.5. Portland played last night. I know that. It's a tough one. Miami, like we already talked about, the over and under is 213.5, by the way. In the money line, Miami's minus 175. Lakers are plus 145. And then the other game is Golden State favored by 7.5 against Minnesota. And the over and under is 222.5 in that one. I might be leaning to Golden State in that game. Again, got to look at everything. I'll make my picks later on, and I'll post them on Twitter. Forgot last night I should have posted them. But I'll make sure to post them on Twitter because I like to kind of find out the injuries. I don't want to do it so early because things change. You know what I'm saying? So it's a rough one. I saw this morning on the chat board, Steve Chapman says, "Good morning. Oh, I've been a Tua guy the whole time, but I can't do it anymore. He's just a sack of injuries. It's one thing after another. You don't know from week to week if he's going to be able to play." And Steve, I can have some fun and we can have the sports discussion and debate and go back and forth whether we think Tua can play or not at this level, right? That one we can do. No one can ever argue about the injury history. There's no debate there. None. The injuries he's had already here in an incredible, not even in one calendar season of games, because he has yet to play 16 games. He hasn't even been eligible to play 16 games, and he can't play them. So I can't argue with anybody that says that after everything that happened in Alabama. That was the only reason why I would have never drafted him, is because of that. I still believe he can be a player in this league. I still believe he can be a hell of a player in this league. But it takes the right coaching. This is where I give the Baltimore Ravens and John Harbaugh and that that organization all the credit in the world, because if you draft Lamar Jackson and then you try to make him a passer, you're a moron, because he'll never be a passer. That's not who he is. But they have totally committed to who he is, and they design everything to complement what he can do. And he does it at an incredibly elite level. He'll never be an elite passer because he just doesn't have the accuracy for that. But because he's an elite athlete, they committed to what he can do best, which is run. And then the pass comes off that run. And so he'll make some passes and he'll make some plays because he's a great athlete. But you have to be committed. Now, if you got Lamar and then you started to try to force the square peg in the round hole and try to make him throw all the routes from the tree, from the 3, from the 5, from the 7-step drop, all that, then you would have been wasting your time. And he would have been a failed pick. But because they have committed this way, it's important. And if you draft Drew Brees, or if you draft Kyler Murray, or if you draft, when you draft certain quarterbacks that have a certain skill set, you have to then tailor that offense to what they are. If you have Tom Brady and he's an effing statue, get him an offensive line and a running game. Because if you don't give Tom Brady an offensive line and a running game, he's dead in the water. He won't be the GOAT. He'll be the chump. That's the way it is. It doesn't matter what quarterback really you get, but it's a matter of understanding your quarterback. And then when you understand what your quarterback is, what his strengths are, then you say, okay, this works. In Tennessee, it works because you pound the crap out of him with Henry and you complement them with Ryan Tannehill and the passing game. Once you take out the main factor of the offense, which is Henry, the whole thing goes to crap, because Tannehill is not the guy that can carry an offense. Never has been, never will be. That's just not who he is. But as long as you have an understanding of how to put your offense together and how each cog is going to, contribute to the machine, then it'll run beautifully. It'll run like honey, and what's it called? A little lemon warmed up for the throat. It'll run beautifully. That's kind of what it is. And that's the problem here in Miami. They drafted a quarterback that they don't understand, that they don't know how to complement, that they failed to put the proper pieces around him in order to be successful. And that's just not players. It's also coaching. You must have Arthur Smith, designing the plays for you so you can run the offense that you want in Tennessee. Now he's in Atlanta, and Matt Ryan's the NFL Player of the Week this week, Offensive Player of the Week. And obviously he's done a much better job there than the prior coach in designing that offense. When you have Bill Walsh, he's going to understand a Joe Montana, and he's going to understand a Steve Young. Two different quarterbacks. Both great, but different styles of play. So you've got to then complement them the proper way. You've got Cliff Kingsbury, who specifically wanted Kyler Murray because he has the offense that Kyler fits and can excel at. That's what it's all about. It's about understanding your talent and then complementing your talent, because Sean Payton understands. I have Drew Brees. He's not a strong arm quarterback. He's not a big quarterback. So what do I have to make sure? I have to make sure the pocket never crumbles. So what am I going to do? I'm always going to invest heavily in my center and my guards. And that's what he always did. The center and the guards for the New Orleans Saints in front of Drew Brees were always exceptional players. Like 90% of the time. Of course, you can't hit them all the time. There were a couple seasons where maybe they had a couple of rough spots, but overall, they found centers and guards that were always there, ready to give Drew Brees an absolute wall so he can find his man and step into the pocket and always be able to throw. Because he knew that if he didn't have the running game and a pass catching back and the line, there was no way he could run his offense. So it's really all about understanding. And that's what the Dolphins have done. They've done a piss poor job of understanding what they drafted and how they were supposed to complement him. And it's been such an embarrassing way they've gone about it that they have put themselves in a position that they've been in for a long, long time. Failures. Failures because you have no vision. And when you don't have no vision, this is what ends up happening. So that, to me, coming tomorrow night, watching this game, that's one of the things that I will always compliment the Baltimore Ravens. The conviction they have shown to force this to work. And eventually it's going to break down because the kid is taking so many hits, and again, he'll never be a great passer. So he'll never be able to make a living from the pocket. This is the only way Lamar Jackson can play. I'm shocked it's lasted this long. Okay? I am shocked. I am shocked that we haven't seen a Haloti Nada RG3 moment in Lamar Jackson's career already. But it shows you how fast, how elusive, how his instincts have allowed him and have given him the power to avoid that Haloti Nada hit. He's taken some hits. He's had to miss a couple games. He's, it's going to build on him because it just doesn't matter, dude. You could be Cam Newton. You could be Big Ben. You could be Tim Tebow. I've seen the biggest of men in this game, and they all get broken in half by this game because it's only a matter of time. There's only so many hits you can take. You know what I mean? And he's not Big Ben where he can buy time in the pocket and be a passer from there. So he will have to use his legs, and eventually it'll give in. But I got to tell you, Baltimore's conviction needs to be commended because that is super strong. Daniel Grafton is telling us a little USA this Friday as they take on Mexico. I am with you, Daniel. Looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun. Nizzle, thank you, sir, for a little love on the super chat. Appreciate you. Let me see. Thomas is asking me if I heard the comments of Shaq and Barkley about Morris. And he goes, they said the same thing you said yesterday. I know. Well, where do you think Shaq and Barkley come from? They come from my era. Okay? That's why. So that's what a normal, I hate to fill it with a testosterone-filled comment, but that's what a normal man would say. So we'll go over that. I don't have time right now to go over Barkley's comments. We're going to play it for you. We have the video. We'll do it after Franco Panizo. We'll talk a little bit about that. So we'll hang in there. Give me a little bit. We'll get to that. But there's a process in the show, and so we'll talk about that on the back end there, leading up to a little inside the paint. So that's kind of the whole deal there. Oriah says, Viva Mexico. So we got a little Mexican love going on. But Uriah, you're going down, bro. You're going down under a heap of goals. I wonder if he caught that. Let's see. Andres Orozco says, "Good morning, Big O V Chain." I know, baby. I know. I've been praising V Chain for a long, long time. Where's it at today? Where's V Chain? V Chain made a little move again this morning because I know that the market had a little bit of a little lull yesterday, and now it started bouncing back early this morning, and it's starting to climb back up again. Let me see where V Chain is at. V Chain is right at 18 cents. It's making a run right now. It's parabolicking right now. I see it. I see it. Okay. I like it. I like it. By the way, remember Nervos? It starts now. It started now to make a it's starting to make a move back up again. So remember in front of you guys 2 days ago when it went back down and it corrected itself a little bit, what did I do? Because I got it at 1.9, right? I said, well, let's get in on 2.5. Okay, so I got it under 2 cents. Now I got a little bit more at 2.5 cents. Because why? It was at 3.2. So I know if I'm at 2.5, it's going to go to 3.2. I'm going to make more money off of that. So why not invest a little bit more? I love these kind of coins because we're getting them early. So if these suckers end up going to 50 cents or $1 or $2 or $3, you see how much you're going to end up making. You know what I'm saying? And inoperability is going to be such an issue in crypto that they're going to be in the forefront of it. And the Cardano ecosystem is going to be so enormous as it starts to grow now with the smart contracts, the dApps, everything else going on, that this thing's going to eventually climb. And so now it's at 26.52. I'm looking at it now. It's up almost 7.5% right now. And that's why, and let me tell you, I didn't expect Nervos to be climbing as much as it is right now. I thought a little bit more towards the beginning of next year is when it would start making its climb. But wow. The one I'm waiting for is I told you guys about Star Atlas when it was like at 15 cents and it got up to 19. It went down to 18. I'm hoping it retracts a little bit to like 16 so I can get back in again to Star Atlas and get a little bit more and get ahead of that. Because for those of you that don't know Star Atlas, and it's on OK Coin, where you can stake Miami coin for 280%. And they have Star Atlas. It's the only place I can get Star Atlas. Star Atlas, for those of you that don't know, you saw Decentraland Mana explode to $3. This is the competition to Decentraland. But their game isn't out for 2 more years. But the coin is already out, Star Atlas. And when it does come out in a couple of years, supposedly it will take the metaverse type of thing to another level, and supposedly it's even more user-friendly than Decentraland and Mana. And it's even more in depth and all kinds of stuff, and it has way more. So the Star Atlas one in the metaverse is supposed to be enormous. So that's one that, of course, do your own homework, read up on it. You'll find out. They have a utility coin also, Polis. Star Atlas has a utility coin called Polis, and it's been on the move. But the utility coin, you have to be careful because utility coins are inflationary, whereas you want to try to buy things that are more deflationary, where there's a limit on how many coins and there's a burning to those coins also. So there's less and less available, which then makes the value of it grow, like Ethereum now. They're burning Ethereum, so there's less Ethereum and less Ethereum. And as you buy or as it grows, it will grow more in value because there's less of it available. So it's incredibly important also in that sense. So there you go. That's a little crypto talk for you today on the program. What else do we have going on the show? We got the Heat at 10 o'clock. Devils last night, man. They put a blue dress on the Panthers, and boy, they torched them 7-3. Panthers 10-2-1. Spencer Knight gave up 6 goals last night. That was it was an ugly night last night, man. They've got to straighten that stuff out on Thursday. You're not gonna run the table and win 75 games. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have some bad nights, and it's about time. And so they had a couple bad nights here. They got to try to find a way to get back on track here, and they'll be fine. They're a really good team. This is kind of part of it's 82 games, man. It's so hard to be, that good all the time. You know what I'm saying? But you know who's that good all the time? Franco Panizo, baby. Let's take a quick break. Let's recap the Inter Miami football season, and let's get his thoughts on the future when we come back with the man of Miami Total Football. That's Franco Panizo. He's next.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
All right, we are back. Sorry, I got caught up there. Some guy was asking me, do you think TVD will be our first legit QB since Kaya? And I'm like, dude, he's way better than Kaya. I'll take him over Kaya any day of the week and twice on Sundays. That kid plays with moxie. Anyway, all right, let's go from one football to another football, and that's Inter Miami and my man Franco Panizo. Follow him on Twitter at Franco Panizo. For those of you listening on the podcast, of course, on YouTube, you can see it right there. And, of course, listen to Miami Total Football. We love Miami Total Football. Always good to talk to Franco. Franco, all right, let's get into it a little bit here. The season overall. Obviously, a massive disappointment considering the amount of money that they spent. I don't know who is more dysfunctional, Inter Miami or the Miami Dolphins.
Well, probably the Dolphins.
Right, because it's 25 years. You're
Inter Miami's still fairly new. There are growing pains. I mean, it doesn't mean that they're not dysfunctional. There's not issues there, but it's still a work in progress. They're starting fresh. Look, obviously the season didn't go anywhere near as expected. It did not go well. It went worse than last year just by a statistical standpoint. Last year they finished in 10th place and they made the playoffs. It was an expanded field, so if you take away the reaching the playoffs part out of it, they still finished 10th in the first season. Second season, with what I think is a better roster, they finished 11th. So definitely regressed in 2021. Now, there's going to be a lot of changes this winter. They have sanctions that they're faced with, so that complicates things, but we'll see it. We'll see how they go about it. They've talked about it already. Even towards the last few weeks of the season, even before the season was officially over or before they were officially eliminated, when it was, all but eliminated, they were already talking about next season. And obviously, clearly, they knew that it was a real big challenge to try to make the playoffs, which they did not. So there's going to be some big decisions that have to be made this offseason. They're going to have to be smart with the players that they bring in, because clearly in 2021, this group of players, regardless of how talented or how expensive they are, they just did not work. It did not work on the field. That also does not absolve head coach Phil Neville of some blame. He's a young head coach in MLS. He's made mistakes that have cost the team points as well. He is also a foreign coach, and foreign coaches historically have not done great in MLS. So we'll see how year 2 goes. I have no hesitation to say that he'll be back, whether of course, people agree with that or disagree with that, whether he should be.
Beckham's boy. He's Beckham's boy, dude. Of course he's going to be back. Come on, give me a break.
Yeah.
Plus, I think next year will be a better measuring stick for him, because next year you will have to imagine that he and Chris Henderson have built a team that's more along what he wants to do, where Chris Henderson wants to take the franchise. So there has to be more of what's it called, more of a team that fits what they want to do, their image. So next year, I think, will be the ultimate measuring stick to see if Phil Neville can be a difference maker in this league.
That's what he said at the end of this last press conference after this win, this surprise upset win over the New England Revolution, the first place team in the league during the season finale. After the game, he said, "Next year will be my team. It will be my team, and I will live and die by that decision." So
that's right.
Look, that's fine. And I have, if Inter Miami, the ownership group, Beckham, Jorge Mas, the Mas brothers, Jose as well, they want to stick with Phil Neville for another season. They want to give him another chance. That's all well and good. Let's hear the reasons why, though. Let's hear why. Because last offseason, I don't know if you remember, because there's a lot going on at this point of the year with all sports. But last year, at this point of the year, Inter Miami, maybe a few weeks later in the year, but got knocked out of the playoffs. Pretty atrocious defeat in the first round.
Right.
And we didn't hear anything from ownership group. We didn't hear anything until preseason from Jose doesn't speak publicly, but Jorge or David Beckham. We didn't hear from them until preseason. So we went all off season not hearing anything about their decisions between firing Paul McDonough, getting rid of Diego Alonso, et cetera, et cetera. So if they're going to keep Phil Neville around, that's all well and good, but let's hear your reasonings. Why is Phil Neville giving
By the way, it was a smart move by them to keep their mouths shut, because there was so much other crap going on behind the scenes that they knew other stuff was brewing. You think they didn't know about the league and everything else going on? So they probably were like, "Yeah, we need to keep it kind of under the radar."
No, see, I can't agree with that, because it's professional sports. You have to come out and face the music and talk about things. You don't just, and this is a criticism I have of David Beckham, and I'll say it here. I'm planning to write it probably at some point this offseason if he doesn't speak, because every indication we've gotten on the inside is that he will not speak, that the strategy is for him to speak only in preseason, which I think is false. I think it's nonsense, because if the team is doing well and the team makes the playoffs or the team wins an MLS Cup, I have no doubts in my mind that David Beckham would speak to the press. But
of course,
when things don't go well, he doesn't speak and he doesn't talk to us publicly. And despite being in front of the cameras and taking pictures with fans and meeting and greeting with fans, he doesn't like to answer questions when things go in a bad way. They didn't do it last year. They did not do it last year. The whole offseason went without them speaking.
Well,
dude,
they don't handle adversity very well. They don't. Bottom line. I mean, look at your press conferences. Every time one of you guys asks or writes something harsh, they don't go to you after for a question. I've noticed that.
That happened last year. That happened last year. This year, that hasn't happened so much.
Hasn't happened this year?
Hasn't happened that much this year. This year they've been better about that.
Even when you've been critical, they went back to you?
Yeah. This year's been different. This year has been a little bit, like I said, they're a young organization.
They took off the diapers. They took off the diapers.
They're learning, man. They're learning.
Oh, okay. Maybe they're learning to have a little thick skin. All right. See, you know what, dude? That's what I love about the Panthers. Because the Panthers, they sucked for a long time. I mean, they and the Dolphins are like pros at sucking for a long time and screwing everything up. Yet, and they took all the hits. They never complain about all the criticism and all that, because when you go talk to them, they're the first ones to tell you, no, we haven't lived up to what we're supposed to do. We deserve the criticism. Like hockey people are the best people in the world, because they're the same dudes when you win and when you lose, and you love that. You hate these franchises at times. They get so ultra sensitive about their screw ups. And it's like, well, dude, you're going to be, like you said, if they win the MLS Cup, Beckham's going to be there raising the trophy. He's going to be talking all that. Well, now's when people need to hear from you. Like, it's your franchise, right? This is your franchise.
It's your handpicked coach. Again, it's fine if they want to keep him. No problem if they want to keep him despite the results. I have no problem with that.
I think
let's hear the reasons why. I imagine that Jorge will speak this offseason. I can't imagine that they go a whole offseason again without speaking. So I imagine Jorge will speak. I have real questions as to whether David Beckham speaks, which I don't think is right. I don't think it's just that he only pops in when things are going well, or when there's promise and the narrative has changed. I think he also should show his face when things don't go well, and that's part of just owning a sports franchise and owning a sports team. When he was an athlete.
And by the way, all that sensitivity BS that you ran into with the media, I don't think that has any. George, I don't think even pays attention to that stuff. He should. I think he should pay attention a lot more to some of the things that he has working under him, because it's an effing disaster. And so, they should know how to handle, because they got a lot of people there that don't know what the hell they're doing in that building. You know what I mean? And there's a reason why things have been discombobulated for 2 years there, because there's a lot of, chasing your tail around and one person passing the buck to another, and that's why there's been a boatload of turnover over there. And on the media side, they don't even know how to handle media. They just don't know. And I think that that's something that all of that needed to be straightened out. They really need people that actually understand media and know how to handle it all. They do a terrible job over there with that stuff, man. So I hope that they grow up a little bit and figure this thing out and put your big boy pants on and stand up to what happens. If it's good or bad, answer to it, man. You know what I mean? Do the same thing that the Panthers have. Panthers have been masterful at handling, adversity for 20 years and coming up short. Now they're a damn good team, so now it's easy to talk about them and all that kind of stuff. But you gotta be the same kind of organization through the good and the bad, is what I'm saying.
No, absolutely. And look, Beckham was a professional athlete. He was a player. He had good games. He had bad games. He had good runs of form, bad runs of form. So he should be used to answering questions when things go well and when they don't go well. Now, the difference this day and age is that, well, there's social media, and his brand is much bigger now. His brand is more than just Inter Miami. He's got a huge brand, and it's all about the success and being exitoso, as we say in Spanish, was just successful. And so, he has to be related to things that are very positive. And, I understand the reasoning why they don't try to make him available, or why he doesn't show his face in front of the cameras or in front of the mics when things don't go well. But you have But if you're going to be an owner of a team, and you're going to make your presence known during preseason when the narrative is all about the hype and the excitement, you got to face the music at the end of the season. And guess what? If next year they do well and they have a much better season, then he should also speak and say, look, we made improvements here, here, and here. I just don't agree with picking and choosing moments of when to speak when things are going well. I don't think that's a sign of a true leader. I don't think that's a sign of a true leader.
Basically, take a page from Pat Riley, is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
That's all. And you know what? Jorge wants to, be like the Heat organization. Well, if you're going to be like the Heat organization, well, then, your top guy needs to talk and needs to handle the Heat. And when Pat Riley sits there, he answers, why the hell did he sign James Johnson and Whiteside to these long-term deals? And he screwed up. He talks about it. You know what I mean? And he's going to talk about it when he has a parade down Biscayne Boulevard with Wade or with Shaq or whatever. You know what I mean? So Riley addresses the crap, and Riley addresses the championships. And David Beckham has done a terrible job in that. It just looks weak when you do it that way, that you're not there. You're the face, dude. You're the Pat Riley of the team. You need to address your fans and tell them what the hell's going on and what you're trying to do to fix the problem. That's it.
That's something I'll give Jorge Mas credit for. Last offseason, notwithstanding, but this year, in different moments, he has spoken to the press.
Yeah, dude, Jorge's fine.
Jorge's on the ground. Jorge shows his face. Jorge faces the music. And that there's respect for that, for doing that, because not every owner, like we know, especially here in South Florida, is willing to do that. So I imagine we'll speak to him this offseason. I imagine
I just would like Jorge to fix some of the crap under him.
It's a work in progress. It's a work in progress
because he worries more about the team, is what it seems like, and that's understandable. And plus, he has his businesses, which he's got plenty of things. But what the disaster he has under that. He should really actually pay attention to that. And you're right. I mean, the Beckham has to address, man. He has to handle things like
I'll share this with you. I'll share this anecdote with you. Last year, one of the offseason pods, and we were like a month into the offseason, I had a rant about how, the owners had to face the music, especially David Beckham. And I got a text from somebody. I won't say who it is, but I got a text that said, I wish this was the case. And it was somebody that was close to Inter Miami. That's all I'll say. Somebody that was close to Inter Miami. They're like, I wish this was the case.
Right. I know. But I mean, this is part of owning a new team and learning and growing pains and how to handle things. And David Beckham's never been an owner, so he's now learning how to be an owner. But he has to also learn how to be an owner that takes accountability for what's
Absolutely.
going on. Because in the end, the failures of the team so far in the first 2 years fall under David Beckham, not really Jorge Mas, because he's the owner, but he's not really the football guy. So David Beckham is the football guy, and he's the original owner of this whole thing. We know that Moss is the juice, but he's the owner. So he needs to actually, because, not for, I love Jorge, but nobody's going to listen to Jorge talk about soccer and what they're doing. And then that adds to the credibility of, well, we're going to add this player, that player, because nobody looks at him as a soccer expert. But at David Beckham, he's considered the czar. So he's considered the Riley. He's considered the Dave Dombrowski. So go out there, make people feel better about what has gone on for 2 years there and how you're going to fix it. Now, speaking of all of that, okay, how in the hell do they get rid of bum-ass Pizarro and Matuidi?
Difficult. They have to get it. I mean, ideally, in an ideal world, you'd be able to get rid of all 3 DPs and start clean in that regard.
Well, no, forget. They're not getting rid of they can't get rid of the other guy. Forget about that. I mean, give me a break.
But that's ideal. That's why I said ideally.
Can we give him some steroids or something so he doesn't look so slow? Because I swear to God, I feel like I'm watching the $6 Million Man when I was a child, and Lee Majors.
I might potentially be in better shape than Gonzalo Higuain.
No, it's just I'm so tired of watching people run by him and take the ball. And it's like, yo, old man, here, get out of here. Get out. And it's just
physically,
like,
he's
hey,
not
slower traffic to the right lane. That kind of crap.
Physically, he's not great, but technically and with the ball, you can still see that he's 2 levels above most of the players on the field.
Yeah. But you got to keep his old stiff ass around the box and go find some real playmaking midfielders so he doesn't have to run to midfield. You don't want his old ass running to midfield. You want him staying around the box like Roy Lassiter used to do, because Roy Lassiter couldn't grab the ball and take it from midfield all the way into the box and score. No, he had to wait till Pibe would set him up so he could just one-time it right in. You know what I'm saying? And that's what this guy is right now. He's a one-timer. So get somebody that can actually set his ass up. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but in modern day soccer too, you need a striker that can kind of press a little bit and give you something defensively. Not saying he's got to be a ball winning center midfielder, but he has to give you something, and Gonzalo Higuain doesn't give you that.
But he needs steroids and 10 years of youth.
If you can find him the fountain of youth, and that might help Inter Miami, because that's one of the first questions I had for Diego Alonso when they signed him was, you wanted to be a high pressing team, but Gonzalo Higuain is not the most physically gifted or energetic striker. So how are you going to manage that? And you've seen him and Phil Neville try to get creative with how to press from the front, whether it's having Rodolfo, who plays behind him, move further forward and try to press, and they become the striker in the defensive posture, or it's Federico Higuain or Robbie Robinson or Lewis Morgan, whoever's on the opposite wing, try to press. But it hasn't really worked. But anyway, to answer your initial question, we've gotten kind of sidetracked here. They have to get rid of at least 2 of the DPs, in my opinion. At least. Ideally 3, but realistically,
right,
2, at least 2. How do they do that? Pizarro's a sellable asset, I think. He's young enough where somebody in Mexico will probably take him if the price is right. Inter Miami might have to sell him at a loss, not be able to recover everything it's spent to get him. But if that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do. Because
does that affect anything that you then go get after, or no?
A DP, no, because a DP is you can spend X amount on any DP, and it's the budget hit is still the same.
So it's just a matter of taking financial loss if you have to take a financial loss.
Right.
Okay.
Now, as for
then they're going to get rid of him one way or another, because they're going to have to take financial.
Well, look, he's also going to. It's a World Cup year next year. He's going to want to get more minutes to have a chance to make Mexico's World Cup team. So I imagine he'll also make some concessions to get out of here. And look, I think it's clear. I think it's been clear. I personally, just from where I sit and how I view the game, and everybody views the game differently. But early on in the season, I saw signs of him and Gonzalo Higuain not getting along. And the signs for me got bigger and bigger and bigger as the year wore on. And it became very obvious towards the end that the two just did not get along on the field. Right. I don't know if they had problems off the field. Maybe they do, or maybe they just don't get along. Maybe they both need to be the alpha male, and you can't have two alpha males, so they just don't get along. But I think it's crystal clear, and I don't know how closely you followed this weekend's game. But on Sunday, Higuaín did not play. Something I reported for Miami Total Football. He didn't travel, and he stayed behind. Pizarro had one of his better games of the year without Higuaín on the field, and a lot of things went through him. I think he finished with 52 touches, the second highest on the team on Sunday, and he looked a much more confident, spirited, energized player without Higuaín on the after the game. And normally I'm not one to touch on social media behaviors, but this was blatantly obvious. Pizarro started liking tweets from myself and from other media members that were talking about Higuaín's absence and Pizarro's improved performance in the game. And on top of that, he goes on his Instagram account and posts a picture of himself from the game, standard shot of him. But his caption, it was in Spanish, but I'll translate, was something along the lines of, "It will always be easier when everybody runs and fights for one another. I saw it. A shame it came too late. On to whatever's next." So clearly, he is sounding off now. He's getting it off his chest that he just hasn't enjoyed playing with Gonzalo Higuaín, that they haven't gotten along. He hasn't said that publicly in an interview setting. He's been asked over the course of this year about how they mesh on the field, and he's always been very professional, to Pizarro's credit, about, he's always been saying, I gotta move on different spots, or we're working on it, et cetera, et cetera. He's never badmouthed Higuaín. But clearly, after Sunday's game, it's crystal clear that the two don't get along, the two don't like each other, and they just don't click on the fields. Because I don't think you'd be going out there and liking tweets, again, not just to myself. I don't want to make this about me. It's not about me. Multiple people that were observing the game, analyzing the game, and saying, "Wow, look how different the team is without Higuaín. There's no complaining up top," or "Look how improved Pizarro is without Higuaín," et cetera, et cetera. So if you're going out and looking for those tweets, or you found those tweets, or they got to you and you're liking them, when you're a public figure, it's going to make its way out there, then you clearly don't really care too much about the overall message. So I think he'll be gone. I think Pizarro's definitely gone. As for how they get rid of Matuidi, they could buy him out. They have that one buyout option. Does Jorge Jose, and David Beckham want to take the loss on what it would cost to buy him out for a year? That's a question that they have to be asked, because.
Oh, well, if they want to be competitive next year, they have to do it. And if they don't, then they're going to suck again next year.
I mean, or they could just look at Phil Neville.
Huh?
They could just look at Phil Neville and say, "Look, you got to get more out of him, point blank. That's it." I mean, it's coach's job. At the end of the day, it's the coach's job.
You cannot spend the DP spot on a guy like Matuidi.
Listen,
your DP spots have to be guys that can score, and you're giving them a forward that has no athleticism in a league that's gotten younger. It's no longer a retirement league. Higuaín would have been fine 15, 20 years ago in the MLS.
Absolutely.
He really would have been.
Would have been the best player in the league.
Right, but in today's MLS, it's actually younger. It's actually way more athletic. They're actually being smart. They're trying to find younger pieces around the world and bring them here to try to develop, and then either keep them or sell them for more money, and the cycle. But they're being smarter now on how they're doing things. And I personally am tired of watching his old ass out there on the field, and he's killing you in so many other ways.
He's not that old. He's not that old. He's the same age as I am, by the way. But
he plays old. But he plays old, is what I'm saying.
Right,
he moves old.
He has physical limitations. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, and you said it yourself. You want a more younger, athletic forward that you can press up top, and it has more mobility and stuff.
Absolutely.
And he just doesn't have that, and he hurts you in other ways. So now, it's a two-part question. So you've got to find a way to go get yourself some kind of a badass DP that has a nasty sense of scoring all the time. Why? Because you have a young guy in Robbie Robinson who I don't know if he has the mentality, the character, the toughness that you need to play at a professional level. I see him as a kid. I see him as an immature kid. After watching the things that he has shown me the first 2 years on and off the pitch, I don't know if he has the mental makeup to ever become really a tough-minded player. That's what I'm really concerned about with Robbie. There's a difference between youth and then tough-minded, because I've seen a lot of young guys that screw up, but they're fearless. And it's not because they were afraid of the moment or whatever. They screwed up, they made a mistake, whatever, but they're coming right back at you right away. I don't see that in this kid. So either you've got to build him up mentally to get him to where you want him physically, or you need to then just move on. What happens with Robbie, and what do you need to do to make sure you got to get yourself another score?
I mean, look, there's going to be massive changes this winter. So is Robbie part of those changes? Is Robbie guaranteed to be here next season? I wouldn't put my money on that. Right now, he still has value, right? Because he's a young player. He scored some goals this year. Although he was inconsistent. So he has value right now. I imagine there'd be some teams in MLS interested in taking him on. I don't know for how much money or what the trade value is, but there's some value there. And with this team and how much change is needed, I won't say I guarantee Robbie Robinson will be back. There's a chance, in my opinion, that he won't be back. So, maybe he needs a change of scenery. Maybe he needs to be on a different team where they can develop him a bit more, where there's not so much pressure, because Inter Miami, because of its expectations and how boisterous it has been outwardly in public and with fans and with the media, it's a team that's expected to be up there. So maybe on a different team, it'll suit him better. Inter Miami, maybe he's not the place for him. And I thought from the first game I saw him in LA 2020, I was like, this player, I'm not convinced that he's all that. There's just certain things I saw from my vantage point and how I view soccer that I was like, I'm not convinced that he's all that good. Now, this year he was better. He made strides. They put him out on the wing, less as a striker, and I thought that better suited his skill set and what he has to offer. His speed.
He has the athleticism to be a
Absolutely.
player.
Absolutely.
But I don't think he has the mental makeup, my brother. I hate to use the label. I think he's soft.
Well, there are questions. There are questions if there are questions for me if he's cutthroat enough. If he's cutthroat enough to make it in professional sports. But maybe in a different environment it will work out for him. Maybe. I don't think it's in South Florida. Whether he comes back or not, we'll see. But I don't think in here he's going to thrive. I just don't think so. But we'll see. We'll see how plenty of players have carved out good, respectable MLS careers in the league. But I think he does need to answer that question to himself. And in general, is he cutthroat enough to make it work? Because you look at the Chile thing that happened this year. He left for a day or two with Chile's national team and left. He also he did a similar thing at MLS's back, where he was with the team and then he left for personal reasons. Never why. I've heard some things as to why it was, but there are questions. I will just say there are questions as to if he can be cutthroat enough to make it in the professional game, and that's where if he wants to make it, if he wants to have a good long successful career or just a good career in soccer, then he's going to have to improve in that regard. But we'll see. We'll see if they keep him. And as for how they can replace goals, they need to bring in someone that can either create or score them themselves. There's talk of some Brazilians that they're in conversations with reportedly. So, that could be one solution, although they'd probably be DPs. So that means somebody's got to go in order for that player. Yeah,
I have no problem. You got to get rid of your DPs. I mean, if they get rid of Higuain, then maybe they have David Copperfield in the offices there. I don't know. But for Robbie, he probably should change the back name of his jersey and put Charmin on it. That's probably better suited. Tell them about Miami Total Football, my brother, so they can keep up with the team with you all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. So Miami Total Football, we have a Substack. That's where I do the written part of my coverage. We also have a YouTube channel, so that's where the audio part is. And then we have the podcast, which is Miami Total Football Radio, which you can find on Apple Podcasts, on anywhere that has Spotify, anywhere that has podcasts. That's the audio part of it. Try to be a trifecta, a little bit of everything for for whatever type of coverage you like to consume. We'll be recording an episode of Miami Total Football Radio today, which we also call in Spanish for the bilingual ones here in South Florida, Miami Total Football Radio. So so we try to do a little bit of everything, and I cover the team on the day-to-day I have for these first 2 years. Some people say I'm too critical or too negative, but you're
just honest.
I just see the game from how I just call it like I see it. I just call it like I see it. I'm not doing anybody favors. I don't have personal relationships with these guys, but I have working relationships, and I call it like I see it. Whether you like it or don't like it, that's totally fine. Everyone can have their opinion, but I will judge the team based on how I view the game and based on what they say their standards are. And if they say they want to be up here and they finish down here, well, then there's a lot of criticism to be had for why they're not up here, right? So so I get people can be rubbed the wrong way by how I cover things or how I say some things at times, but if you're this ambitious and you perform at this level, then I don't know. There's a lot of room for criticism. If we can't criticize you when there's this much of a discrepancy, then I don't know when we can criticize a team that falls that short. But anyway, that's where you can follow the work. Again, we follow the team on a day-to-day, and I think we do a good job because there's other people on the podcast. It's not just me. Have a growing team there with Steve Brenner and Jose Armando, and we have more plans in store for 2022. So stay tuned and give us a follow on all those channels or all those outlets if you haven't already.
And if you're on YouTube, you can see the logo right above him. That's the logo you will find for the podcast. Miami Total Football. Follow him on Twitter at Franco Panizo. He does an excellent job. There he is. Franco, much love, my brother. I appreciate you. You be good.
We'll talk again soon, I'm sure, during this offseason.
You got it, baby. You be good. Thank you, my man. There you go. Franco Panizo, baby. There we are. Somebody was already complaining. Who was it complaining? SoCal Derek. He goes, so Dolphins talk is turning into soccer crypto talk. Got it. No SoCal. We talk everything. We talk Heat. We talk Dolphins, Marlins, crypto, everything, my brother. Yes, we love the Dolphins. We love to talk Dolphins. It's the center of the universe. But we are complete, my brother. That's what we do here. We're so complete that Alan Poupart's coming up next with our Sports Grill Miami Dolphins report in hour number 2.
This is the Big O Show.
Sports fans love a place with great food, cold drinks, and TVs everywhere. That's why sports fans love Sports Grill and their 7 amazing locations. Check out the Bird Road location at 11481 Southwest 40th Street in the back corner of the West Bird Shopping Center. Sports Grill is also now offering some great employment opportunities. All kinds of positions are now available from kitchen to hosting. Call for more information at 305-485-8845. From wraps to salads to amazingly delicious specialty dishes, Sports Grill is the home to the legendary special grilled wings. Since 1987, Sports Grill, good food, good drink, and good friends.
It's the Big O Show. Judge, you tuned in to the hottest sports radio.
When you need your warehouse looking good while staying efficient, there's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Pallet Rack City is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a great rack? Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547.
Orlando, a.k.a. the Big O. He covers all the South Florida teams.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
Dolphins to the Heat, well, you know what I mean. Monday to Friday, Lollipop blow in the...
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Folks, you can support the hardest working sports talk show in South Florida through Cash App or Venmo. Just search Cash Big O Show. Support us through Cash App or Venmo. Cash Big O Show. We thank you for your incredible support.
No one has a similar show. Talk sports, talk plays, talk.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
The viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. Let's get ready to talk Dolphins football. It's the Sports Grill Miami Dolphins Report with Sports Illustrated's Alan Poupard. With locations throughout South Florida, Sports Grill is the home of the special grilled wings. Check out our sponsored locations in Miami on Bird Road and 114th and in Miami Lakes in the Royal Oaks Plaza. Here's Miami Dolphins insider Alan Poupard.
Alan Poupard, our Sports Grill Miami Dolphins Insider Report. He's got the Montreal Expos hat. By the way, I am looking at my Bitcoin account here where Aaron Rodgers sent me the $99 a couple days ago. It's at 108.46, baby. Huh? What's your savings account doing in your bank? Doing squat. Have you earned $8 in the last 5 days? No, you haven't. Crypto. Telling you. But anyway, I want to thank the anti-vaxxer for the free Bitcoin. So there you go. I just want to keep it going. You know what I mean? You didn't ask Aaron Rodgers for some Bitcoin? Huh? Alan?
I did not. I haven't had a chance to speak with Aaron.
Yeah,
that's on my to-do list this afternoon.
Did you hear about that? That he and Cash App were giving away $1 million in Bitcoin?
I did not know that.
Yeah, so you had to retweet back to him, follow Cash App, and put hashtag paid in Bitcoin, and then it was random. Some people got $10, some people got $25. I got $99. So nice. I'll take it, bro. I'll take it. Yeah, I keep wondering if they went to my Twitter account and they saw all the crypto talk that's on there, and they're like, well, yeah, let's, this is not a waste. Let's give it to this guy because he'll probably actually hold it. You know what I mean? Which is what we're doing, of course. That's what you do with your crypto. I mean, that's what you do with your Bitcoin. The other stuff you can make a little cash. All right, so we got the victory this past week. They are now prepared for what, 2 in a row tomorrow night? Is that what you're writing, right? You're prepared to write 2 in a row for the Miami Dolphins, correct?
Absolutely. I guarantee it. I guarantee they'll play a game tomorrow night.
I was talking about this, and one of the things that I admire there's a lot of things to admire about John Harbaugh as a coach. I think a lot of us like him in every way, fashion as a coach, and the way he leads his team and the toughness and how they overcome all kinds of things. So there's a lot of characteristics to like about John Harbaugh that we would all want in our own coaches, in the NFL. But one of the things that I got to commend them on, and this goes for every quarterback in the history of time. When you draft a guy, you have to understand what you have, and then you have to then complement them. Whether it's Brady, give him the wall of Montezuma in a running game because he can't move. So if you give him a crappy line, you're not going to get anywhere, just like Mahomes last year in the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? If you have a Kyler Murray, this guy understands Kyler Murray and has the kind of offense that Kyler Murray can succeed in. It doesn't matter what kind of quarterback you have. You got to understand it. And I really commend them that they got a guy that isn't a great passer, but he is a great athlete. And they stay totally committed to the way he needs to play the game in order for them to succeed. Whether that will win a Super Bowl or not, that's a whole different ball game. But they've made the best out of that situation, which I don't know if a lot of teams would have been smart enough to do that, Alan. I think a lot of teams would have screwed up and tried to make him a pocket passer.
No, I mean, you can't. Come on. I mean, it's like telling Michael Vick, stay in the pocket. I mean, come on. I mean, you saw what Lamar Jackson did at Louisville. I mean, it was very clear what his talent was. And the only reason you would draft him high is because he was completely insane with his running ability. And if you take that away from him, might as well not draft him, or as some people suggested, convert him to a different position. And I also would take issue with something you said. I actually think he's a much, much better passer than given credit for.
Okay. So having said all that, why has this group completely failed in understanding what they had to do to help their young quarterback succeed?
Yeah, but here's the thing, though, is what exactly is it other than we can complain all we want about not hiring the right coaches. We can complain all we want about bad personnel decisions or bad player development when it comes to the offensive line. But in terms of trying, I mean, my Lord, how much more could they have done to try to help Tua coming into this year? They hired
veteran linemen, too many young linemen. It was time out.
You were
going to need a miracle to gel 4 young linemen and a journeyman and make them a really good line. I don't even know if Dante Scarnecchia could have done that.
Okay, time out. A couple of important points that need to be made here. Number one, the initial question you asked is, why didn't the Dolphins do what they could? They did everything they could.
Well, what they thought they could.
Charlie, a lot of the stuff that hasn't panned out, but it's not like they didn't try. It's not like they said, okay, Tua, you're on your own. I mean,
no. But Alan, to think that basically a rookie offensive line coach with rookie offensive coordinators with a bunch of rookie linemen with no threat at running back that isn't like a monster to help complement those, like at least Ricky Williams, like we knew he ran for 2,000 yards. Let's not lie to ourselves. It was a decent line, but it was also that Ricky was so damn special that he made them look even better than what they are. So what I'm saying is, maybe you could have gotten a Najee instead. Maybe you could have picked up a couple of veteran offensive linemen. Maybe you could have found a established offensive line coach that knows what the hell he's doing. Maybe you should have convinced Jan Gailey, please stay, because you know way more offense than we ever could. I understand what you're saying, and in theory, you're right that they tried everything, but they didn't really know how to do it. See, Baltimore knows how to do it, how to make Lamar the best Lamar can be. Kyler Murray, this guy knows the best way to make him what he can be. Bruce Arians is doing the same thing with Tom Brady, finding him every running back, every tight end, and every receiver in the book and an offensive line, so the man has everything he needs in order to succeed. And even Byron Leftwich, who understands him and what he needs. All of these kind of things help the quarterback grow and develop. Bill Walsh knew that he couldn't run exactly the same offense between Joe Montana and Steve Young. It was 2 different talents. So he had to run it 2 different ways. You have to understand what it is, but you also have to execute it. And while they thought they were doing it, the execution was incredibly poor.
I'm not arguing that point, but the point you were making initially was that the Dolphins didn't do what they needed to do or try to help out Tua, who, again, also, I'm going to make the point, needs more help than somebody like Lamar Jackson to succeed, number one. Number two.
And by the way, he needs more than Josh Allen, Because
Correct.
if he was Josh Allen, he would have played last week. Because even if his middle finger's a little messed up, but he's got a cannon for an arm and a big arm, they would have let him go out there and at least try it, because his strength might have been able to overpower a little bit and overcome the finger. But because he's a smaller quarterback, doesn't have a cannon of an arm, they did the right thing. They actually said, you know what, dude, you're already limited physically. Now you're injured. No, we're not putting you out there. And to me, that was actually intelligent last week.
No, I have no issue with it. And here's another thing about the offensive line, and I need to take you back to comments that you made earlier, I want to say August, maybe September, where you talked about you were very, very willing and ready to deal with the growing pains that come with having such a young offensive line. Well, we're having some nasty, nasty growing pains, and we're also left with wondering.
Well, I didn't know this guy could not coach at all. That's the thing.
But also,
this is what we're running into now. There is no coaching on this team. None. Zero.
Okay, that's fair. But are we also at a point where do we really look at Austin Jackson and say it's purely coaching? This guy would be a stud if he had a great coach. No. Liam Eichenberg, who's getting run around.
I question that one. I question that one. Notre Dame puts out a lot of linemen. He had better coaching at Notre Dame, just like Tua and Waddle had better coaching at Alabama. There's too much of rotten going on there with everyone. That's where I blame coaching. Austin Jackson, I'll give you that one. But Liam Eichenberg, I think if you had a real coach, I think we'd see a much better player, dude. I really do.
I see somebody who's not nearly athletic enough to play on the edge, and and edge defenders are getting around him way too easily. And I'm not sure that really speaks to coaching, as opposed to maybe this is a guy who belongs at guard. So
maybe,
but I'm not arguing your point. If Bill Callahan was coaching this offensive line, the results would be entirely better. Or Dante Scarnecchia or Alex Gibb, if we want to go way back when, back with the Broncos. But again, we did talk about the idea. It's an awfully young offensive. They tried to bring in a couple of veterans. Everything flopped. DJ Fluker flopped. Jermaine Elmanor, for some reason, they never really gave him a shot. And now he's starting in Oakland, by all accounts, playing well. Matt Skura is brought in to play center. Never sniffed a first-team rep. Now he's starting for the Giants. But there's no question. Absolutely, the coaching is playing a part in it.
At one point, the offensive line coach and the head coach are sitting there going, no, we don't need this guy. We're going to keep this guy. So I don't know what, Pepe Le Pew and Flo are actually thinking, that they decided to keep these guys and let the other guys go and let veterans go. So that's my problem, that Pepe Le Pew right now, his coaching stinks, just like his tail.
I'm also going to wonder, probably until the end of the season, why was there such a need to dump Eric Flowers, who's not a great player, but right now probably would be the best offensive lineman on this team? Why? To save $2 million in salary, $2 million in salary cap? Really? To move up 14 spots in the 7th round? It's completely baffling. Yeah,
no, I'm with you there. Does he even play this week? Tua.
Eric Flowers, I'm sure he'll play. I'm sorry, Tua. That's a great question. I mean, and Brian Flores was asked every possible way yesterday when he spoke, and that's the last time I'm going to speak to him until after the game. It's a great question. I'm not sure he knows. Yes, maybe, no. I don't think. I think they're going to see how he warms up Thursday night in pregame, and may not make a call until then. Or my guess is they will not make a call until then.
What's your gut tell you? Because I kind of get the feeling that he's not going to play in this game.
If I'm going to lean, if I have to guess one way or the other, I would say he's not playing. But let's say 50.5% he's not playing, 49.5% he's playing.
How bad is the third quarterback that you would use to as your backup?
He's a kid who's never played.
It kind of reminds me of the Greg Little situation, right? Like, how bad is Greg Little? You can't crack this starting lineup, dude. I mean, seriously? They're not even considering your ass. Now he's saying, I know he said it now this week. Well, we're thinking about whatever changes. And I was laughing at that. Like, okay, so a walkthrough is going to make you want to try somebody else? What are you going to see in a walkthrough?
Yeah.
Give me a break.
It's not the week to do it. That's not the week to do it. The following week would be the week to do it. But no, but there's a difference between Greg Little and Jake Dolegala, who has never played it down in an NFL regular season game, who wasn't drafted out of college. And I'm trying to remember what school he attended. It's not what do they call, not FBS.
Right.
I go back to the days of Division 1A or 1AA, but it's an FCS school. I can't remember the name of the school, but yeah, he's got no pedigree. And yeah, I think they'd rather have Tua hand off and throw screen passes all night than have Dolegala in the game.
And to think about it, in a couple of years, we're going to be looking at Reed Sinnett going, look at that. He's headed to Hall of Fame. We could have kept him.
Well, yeah. I like Reed, but I might slow down on that one.
I tell you, they're already developing the bust for Reed, because they know once he takes the field, he'll never see the bench again. He'll be just riding high, man. And we're going to be sitting there going, there it is, Drew Brees Part 2.
Another
part
one 3. Got away.
We have Drew Brees Part 1 and 2, so we'll go with 3 there. What do we look forward to tomorrow? I mean, what would you tell the Dolphin Nation to look forward to tomorrow? I know that we're praying for the miracle of all miracles, which is probably never going to happen. So what are we looking forward to now as Dolphin fans? Because Tua doesn't have a future if these guys are around, obviously, because they don't want him. What are you building? There's probably going to be a bunch of changes at coaching. So what do Dolphin fans look forward to right now, Alan?
Well, you mentioned Tua. I think you want Tua to go out there and succeed, because if indeed he doesn't have a future with the Dolphins, at least he's building up his trade value. That's number one. If he doesn't play, then you're looking right now. They got 2 good-looking young safeties with Brandon Jones and Javon Holland. You hope to see those guys continue to do good work. You want to see Jalen Phillips continue to evolve. It's all about the young players that you're going to identify as the core of this team moving forward with whatever coaches are going to be there. I mean, but that's what it is from now on at 2-7. I mean, you're not coming back from 2-7, barring an absolute miracle, and there's really absolutely zero reason to think it's happening. So it's all about the young players developing and giving you hope as they form the core heading into 2022.
Is there one coach you would keep on this team next year? Is there an assistant coach that you say, I definitely got to bring back?
Well, I would tell you the defense the last couple of weeks has actually not played bad at all. I mean, I thought they were very, very good against Buffalo in the first half. Kind of slowed down a little bit, and then Buffalo made some adjustments, and they were very good against Houston, but that's Houston. It's Houston. So I don't have like a major gripe with any of the coaches or anything that's being done on defense. I don't think the defense as a whole has been terrible. I know it's been rough on third down for most of the season and not nearly as good as it was last year. But
and against the run, and look what you're facing tomorrow.
They've actually been okay against the run. They've not been terrible, especially since maybe, I don't know, the past month or so. They've not been terrible. I mean, it's on offense that almost. I mean, you could scrap the whole staff and then nobody would blink an eye. You know?
All right, what was the prediction for tomorrow? What is it? How bad? Because it's a 7.5 point spread. So you're lay the 7 is what you're saying.
Well, I just did the research. There have been 9 Thursday night games this season. 5 of them decided by 3 points or less, and another one was a 6-point game. That's Tampa Bay going to Philly. So this is Baltimore on the road, Dolphins at home. So I think, I mean, and again, odds makers know a lot more than we do. There's a reason the line is only like 7.5. When all of us are looking at those two teams going, how are they not 14-point favorites?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I have a really hard time and almost an impossible time imagining the Dolphins winning that game, but I do think they can keep it close, maybe a 10-point game or so.
It's just 2 words I don't want to hear before that game: Jabroni Brisket. If I hear that he's starting, then yeah.
What are you gonna do? Not watch the game?
No, I'm gonna watch the game. It's just, like last week, the winds were completely out of my. Like, I just could not. I watched it, but I wasn't like. He inspires nothing. I'm just sorry.
No, and he doesn't play any kind of prominent role moving forward, other than he's there when Tua can't play.
Right. Exactly. Crazy. Follow him on Twitter. For those of you listening to the podcast, at Poopart NFL. More importantly, every Dolphin in the planet needs to bookmark his Sports Illustrated page. It's got all of your Dolphin articles, and as the new ones come up, it gets updated. You can check it several times a day because he's pumping out at least 15 or 27 articles a day. I mean, really, it's just absolutely, he's a machine. Okay? He is the machine. He is Alan Poupart. Alan, thank you, my brother. You're a stud as always. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Big One. By the way, the website is alldolphins.com, which and it'll show up as si.com/NFL/Dolphins.
Alldolphins.com. There you go. And a little expos. Be good.
Always. Take care, Big O.
Later. We don't have our clothes? I thought we had a close.
This has been the Sports Grill Miami Dolphins Insider Report with Alan Poupart, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and never miss a report. Search Big O Radio Show on most platforms. Visit Sports Grill in our sponsored locations in Miami on Bird Road and 114th and in Miami Lakes in the Royal Oaks Plaza.
Had a close somewhere. Somewhere or another, I knew there was a close. And it showed up. There it is. And we thank the great people.
Hold on.
Okay, wait a minute.
You say that was our Sports Grill Miami Dolphins report.
That's it. Oh,
you call for them.
Oh, that's I get it. I get it. I screwed up. That's right. I didn't throw to it. So yes, he was waiting for me to throw to it. He's right. When Sean is right, he's right. You know what I mean? And I'm usually wrong, as it is. Speaking of wrong, and SoCal, you're not going to like this because now I'm going to talk a little Miami Heat. And I get it. You just want Dolphins all the way through. But no, this is like a complete radio show. You know what I mean? Yes, we love our Dolphins, and we talk plenty of Dolphins. Lord knows that. Year round, we talk Dolphins. But the Heat, so everybody knows tonight they take on the Lakers. They continue their West Coast swing. Today at 11:45, so we're about 20 minutes away from Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro taking over with the Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint show. Now, let me tell you something, folks. The other night, we had the whole incident between the Nuggets and the Heat where Markieff Morris ran into Jokic, made no basketball play, and then Jokic retaliated, and he was remorseful after the game, but in the end, yesterday I told you that I had no problem with what went on with Jokic because I told you that Markieff Morris brought it on himself. I told you yesterday that if you play any street ball in the park, you're in a fight with that play. Because somebody just running across the court and just rams right into you, and you never know if you're at that moment in the middle of a step that you could be a little bit off balance and it could knock you out. It could not knock you out, but knock you down. You could get hurt. You could blow out a shoulder, an elbow, a knee, an ankle, whatever, anything. You could hit your head, have a concussion. Anything could have happened to Jokic at that moment, right? And yet, everybody's, most of Heat Nation. And look, I get it, man. Fans are fans. That's why it's called fans, because you're fanatical. And some of you have no objectivity whatsoever. So last night on TNT, they're talking about this situation. And I'm glad that they talked about it because, pull it up there, Sean, they addressed the situation the way it's supposed to be addressed. Let's leave the Homer crap out. Let's actually call it like we see it. Play it for me, Sean, so folks can see the exchange between Barkley, Kenny, and Shaq about what happened in the incident between the Heat and the Nuggets. So they said exactly the same thing I said. And look, I get it, Heat Nation, all that. And I'm a Heat fan too, as much as anybody out there. I love the Heat. Been a season ticket holder before I got in this business. I got nothing but respect for the Heat. Markieff Morris got what he deserved. And Markieff Morris, let me explain something to you. He pulled a punk move. One, he charged at a guy and just rammed his shoulder into his chest without making any kind of a basketball move, not trying to do anything, which he could have hurt the guy. And that's what Joker has to think, like, yo, what the hell are you doing? And then he turns his back on him after he hits him. Like, he's going to forget about it. Like, he's not going to hit me with my back turned and all that, right? And then that's when you get pissed, like, F you, dude. And so I would have done the same crap. I would have hit his ass too. Now, I think Markieff Morris got off because they suspended Joker for a game and without pay, which is a lot of money, and they only fined Morris $50K. He deserves to get suspended too because he instigated it. So you expect to run your shoulder into someone's chest where you could have hurt them, and then you expect no retaliation, and you expect nothing to come of it. Oh, because it's what Kenny Smith says. We got to get to playing basketball. That's not basketball. So the way it looks at it, and for you butthurt Heat fans, I don't care. Okay? You're just as soft as Robbie Robinson for Inter Miami. All right? Basically. That's right. You're a soft ass Heat fan if you think this is just Jokic's fault. Because what Markieff Morris did was a punk move. If you're going to push somebody, then face them. Don't go running away and turn your back on him thinking, oh, this part of the game, he's not going to hit me. I'm glad he got hit in the back. I'm glad he got thrown down to the floor because maybe Markieff Morris will learn not to be a punk on the court. So for me, in my eyes, Markieff is more wrong than Jokic is. Jokic did what any other man should do. You hit me like that, I'm going to hit you no matter what. You want to turn your back because you think I'm not going to retaliate? I'm going to hit you square and knock your ass down. So all this stuff, bottom line is, Markieff got what he deserved. Because that's what happens in street ball. You pull bullshit like that, you deserve to get slammed to the ground. You put people at risk, you deserve to get slammed to the ground. That's the way it needs to be looked at. Markieff Morris got what he deserved. Next time, don't pull bullshit like that, Markieff. And maybe that won't happen. Because I know that if you pull that in street ball, you're fighting. Kenny Smith said it. And he's a mild-mannered dude. Any of us that have played pickup basketball over the years, you don't do that ever in pickup basketball. That's a fight. That's a fight. At that moment, you know what happens there? You push the guy, he grabs the ball, he throws it at you, and then he's coming at you to fight. That's what's coming. That's what's coming. So for all of you soft-ass Heat Nation, and you know what it is? Most of you that are complaining about it, you've never played a pickup basketball game in your life. You've never played a tough pickup basketball game in your life. Let's put it that way. Playing that soft-ass crap in elementary or something. Go ahead. You go do that in a pickup basketball game. See what happens. Yep. Morris thought Jokic was soft. Wrong. Exactly, Ian from Brooklyn. That's exactly it. And the dude sent him a message. And guess what? Nobody's going to do that next time to Jokic because they know that he's going to retaliate. Jokic did exactly what he was supposed to do, and Markieff Morris got exactly what he deserves. That's the way it's spun because that's the reality of what went on. So next time, Markieff, don't do that. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. That's what I would say. Don't act like a punk so they don't punk you. Because that's what happened. Markieff acted like a punk, and then Jokic treated him like a punk. Okay? That's the reality. Isn't Jokic or Russian or Slovenian? You don't mess with those guys. They're it's not a matter of that. It's just a matter of pride. You know, you're playing basketball. Okay? Markieff Morris had no intentions on that play of playing basketball. He thought he could play football there and just put a shoulder into somebody. F you, dude. F you. So I root for Markieff because he wears a Heat uniform. I root for the Heat, but I do this job objectively. Markieff Morris was wrong, and he got what he deserved. And he got lucky that he didn't get suspended because the league needs to suspend anybody that makes that kind of a foul. The kind of foul that has nothing to do with the game. That's what you need to do because that's the stuff that starts all of this. So Markieff got lucky in my eyes. He should have been suspended. Big O, huge question. Jacoby Brissett for 4 hours or you got Pat White? Oh, God. Why you got to do that, Anthony? Why you got to do that to me, bro? Let's see. Hallie, exactly in the joint you don't call fouls, just straight up. I don't know what that means, Hermes. True Blazer says, thank you, Big O. This is a refreshing take. It's a man's take. Any of us that have played pickup basketball, every one of you are going to agree with me. Every one of you. You know, any of you that think that, oh, Markieff was wrong, you're soft, dude. That means you would pull punk-ass moves like that. That means you're like, what's that punk-ass that helped me win yesterday, by the way, for the Bucks? Grayson Allen. I hate that kid. That kid that was tripping people. Talk about a guy that really needs an ass kicking. Grayson Allen is the guy that needs an absolute ass kicking. You know what it is to be tripping people? How disgusting is that? Let's see. Big O, my man. I'll be there in November, the 21st game against the Jets at Sports Grill, going to a Dolphins game. Thank you, sir. I look forward to meeting you, Anthony. Just don't give me those brutal questions. Torturous. Brissett or Pat White? Oh, my God. Jokic slaps and fouls people all game. He definitely no angel. I don't care about that, dude. See, this is a new thing, and it started in politics where there's a discussion going on, and then they get off the discussion and they talk about something else. I don't care what Jokic does throughout the game, my man. That has nothing to do with it. I'm talking about the one incident, and that's it. Everybody plays hard and they do all kinds of things, and Draymond Green does all kinds of things and all that. So I don't care about all of that. None of that has anything to do with this incident. Markieff Morris made no basketball attempt. Markieff Morris got what he deserved. Period. End of story. That's it. I don't care who Jokic fouled before the game, after the game, 2 weeks ago, 10 weeks ago. None of it matters. Okay? None of it matters. If you want to pull a punk-ass move like Markieff Morris, then you deserve to get shoved to the ground. That's it. It's the fact that the Heat were getting blown out. Yeah, I'm sure Markieff had a little frustration in him, but when you just shove a shoulder into a guy and you're not going to expect retaliation, you're an idiot. No basketball move. If a guy does that to me on the court, we're fighting. We're fighting. I'm throwing the basketball at his head, and then I'm going after him. He'll get a little bit of a warning because the basketball's coming at him. And if he can dodge the basketball, great. If he does, he's going to get hit by a basketball, and then he's going to get hit by my fist. That's it. It's the bottom line. Markieff pulled a punk-ass move, and he paid the price for being a punk in that moment. He easily could have gotten Jokic in the middle of a step, could have tilted him over, he could have fallen, could have blown out a knee, an ankle, could have hit his head, could have blown out his shoulder, whatever. Jokic looks at him like, yo, what the hell are you doing? So I'm with Barkley and Shaq. That's exactly what I said yesterday, and I will continue to say it today. When I saw that last night, I said, thank you, Charles. Thank you. Thank you, Chuck. You agree with me exactly. Markieff Morris got what he got lucky. He deserves to get suspended. Those fouls should not be included in the NBA. You can hurt somebody like that. He's lucky that Jokic had the balance and everything, and he was cool. You could even jam your knee in that sense. You may not even fall, but in the way that you were making a step and you get jammed, you just never know what could happen. Markieff Morris is a big guy. But you just can't ram your shoulder into somebody's chest and not expect any retaliation, dude. Because you're going to get pissed because you made no basketball move. That's all. So for me, he got what he deserved. I don't feel sorry for Markieff. I don't feel sorry for Jokic. I understand Jokic. I would have done the same thing. Same exact thing. Morris had no sportsmanship, getting blown out. That's it. That's what it was. Sure, there was some frustrations, but, you got what you deserved. Big O, what do you think of a channel called TD Fins Talk? I don't know. I don't know anything about it, my brother. Haven't seen it. What else do we have here on the text line? Oh, by the way, remember, we've got the Palarac City Inside the Paint show coming up. Sean, you may want to send Clay an invite because I don't see him there. So let's see if we can get Clay going. Let's bring the boys aboard so we can get oh, there he is. There he is. All right. I see Ira running and getting prepared. So we won't bring Ira up yet because he's not ready yet. We got Clay is ready. He's ready to go. Let's see. Ira's preparing. He's trying to get everything ready. He's got his mic on.
Look, we can give Ira a break, right? Like there's a sliding scale for what you're willing to put up with for the star of the show. So we'll get. And by the way, look, man, Ira's up early out there on the West Coast.
It's and I got to tell you, the sun rises early, and they gave me that east-facing room, so it was like, we could have Palarac City, and it turned out about an hour and a half ago. So there's plenty of going on here, and guys, I got to tell you, I was worried last night, even at the timing of the show, that the fines were going to come out while we were on the air, and I'd be putting on the reading glasses and going back and forth. So fortunately, that's out of the way. But man, it's just there is so much going on with the Heat that I honestly, as soon as I'm done, and for people who don't know, the reason we moved the time back and forth and moved it up 15 minutes,
I explained it,
is the Heat have shoot around. So I got to get to that. And matter of fact, I'm going to ask you both guys, because I think you both come close to the journalism tag that a lot of people have lost in a lot of the mediums. I was really disappointed the other night that no Heat players came out after the game in Denver and addressed the media, number one. And number two, I will be very disappointed if they tell us today no questions about the melee, that we're done and we're moving on. We deserve answers. Markieff Morris should talk. Look, say what you want about
got lucky. He got lucky. He deserves to get suspended.
And I understand that, but say what you want about Nikola Jokic or them crazy Nikola Jokic brothers. But at least Nikola Jokic came out after the event in the moment and addressed the media. That's what a man does. And I got to tell you, I sent a text to someone about after the game the other day. You're not just a leader when your team wins. You're a leader all the time or not at all. So you know what? After a game, after a debacle like that in Denver, forget the fight. Just the horrible play we saw, come out and fess up to it, own up to it, talk about what went right and what went wrong. And instead, there were crickets from the Heat. We didn't hear from them after Monday's game. We didn't hear from them yesterday because they didn't practice. We darn well better hear from them about an hour, hour and a half from now with UCLA, where they're going to be practicing. Otherwise, what does that really tell you? What kind of leadership is that when you're not going to face the music and address the questions?
Yeah. And I'm with you from this perspective too. I've always been a firm believer that part of the job when you're an NBA player is addressing the media. I mean, it's contractual. It is part of the agreement with the Players Association. And obviously there are extreme circumstances where you're not going to do that. And I wouldn't have expected Markieff Morris to address the media after the game, only because at that point, at that point, we thought that there was potentially a significant injury, right? And so, if a player gets injured, then you're not going to talk, and that's fine.
Right.
But to me, Ira, and this is where I agree with you, I don't think that this rose to the level of being such an extreme circumstance where you make no players available. And even Ira, to me, look, I would have loved to have heard from Jimmy Butler. I would have loved to have heard from Kyle Lowry.
That's what I'm saying, Clay, is forget the silliness of the fight. The game was decided. The Miami Heat played a craptastic game. Why? So during games, this is what happens. There's only a couple of traveling media now, myself, Anthony Chang from the Miami Herald. So they send us a text, who would you like to talk to? I almost always, guys, put down Jimmy, Kyle, and Bam for this reason. They're your leaders. They're the voices of this team. Just like a Dolphins game, whether he plays well or not, I want to hear from Tua because he's the face of your franchise. And a lot of times they'll go, well, Jimmy's not speaking today or Kyle's not speaking. Who else do you want? So we told him in that game, well, I'll take Tyler. I'll take Duncan. I just wanted to get a voice as to what the hell went on there. And instead they said no players tonight. Yes, it violates rules. I've always said this. If a player tells me or tells someone, I just don't want to talk tonight. Everyone has nights like that. Clay, you might have a rough broadcast where you go, your boss comes up to you after and goes, well, and you go, look, let's just let this go. I'll get it right the next time. Everyone has that right. Has a bad show. He might go, I don't want to talk about it. We'll just come back tomorrow. We'll do a better show, Sean. Everything will be good. I get that. But there can't be this pattern of when the going gets rough, everyone runs for the hills. And that bothers me a lot. The Celtics game was garbage. We want to hear about it. The Denver game was garbage. We want to hear about it. And you know what? If you're a leader, you talk then just as you do when, we have this great margin of victory and all these victories.
Now, I want to make one thing clear. This is not because I want to get out in front of this idea that, media people just want, they want to feel self-important. They want to get people. Our job, Ira, and when I say us, I mean, let's be completely honest. People like you and Anthony Chang who are on the beat and out there in the arenas, and the job of people who are there, and you guys to an even greater extent than this, it's to be the conduit. It's to be the intermediary to ask the questions that the fans want answers to. And so that's why this is contractual. That's why, and from an NBA perspective, it's always been about, this is not, they're not just doing this because they like us. They're not just making players available because they like Ira Winderman. It's because it's part of marketing. Like, they want people to get to know these fans. And part of that is the accountability that comes from answering questions in the good and the bad moments. Obviously there's been a line that's been blurred there because, with social media being what it is, a lot of players feel as though they have their platform. But the bottom line with this now is it's still contractual. Like, you're still obligated to do this. And to me, Ira, it just didn't rise to that level.
The other team has already met their responsibility.
Absolutely. But you know what, guys?
Even Jokic showed some remorse with this. In a way, I don't believe he has to show much remorse because he was just defending himself on a dirty play, because I think it's soft to be defending Morris. Morris made no basketball move there. You pull that stuff on any pickup game, you're in a fight right away.
But since I got the in-room coffee made and since I got to be out of here within an hour, let's start the real show and we'll continue the discussion.
Yes. All right, here we go. Coming up, baby, it's the Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint Show right here.
Sports fans love a place with great food, cold drinks, and TVs everywhere. That's why sports fans love Sports Grill and their 7 amazing locations. Check out the Bird Road location at 11481 Southwest 40th Street in the back corner of the West Bird Shopping Center. Sports Grill is also now offering some great employment opportunities. All kinds of positions are now available from kitchen to hosting. Call for more information at 305-485-8845. From wraps to salads to amazingly delicious specialty dishes, Sports Grill is the home to the legendary special grilled wings. Since 1987, Sports Grill, good food, good drink, and good friends. When you need your warehouse looking good while staying efficient, there's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Pallet Rack City is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a great rack? Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. The beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. Time for an hour of hardcore hoops with the Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint program with Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro. There's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Let's get to the show basketball fans crave. Let's get inside the paint.
Welcome, everybody. Clay Ferraro here. Ira Winderman out enjoying Tinseltown. And, if you see the bags under his eyes a little bit, it's because you know that he was out partying late night in L.A.
You know what? Not that, but I do have a question for you because I didn't have time to run over to the Starbucks, so I'm doing the dreaded in-room coffee right now. Is powdered creamer even a thing? I mean, you get the coffee set up here. I actually bring my own Starbucks with me, but you make the coffee, and then you look, and they got this powdered creamer. What? I don't want to go Seinfeld on you, but what's with the powdered creamer? Like, who thought this was a good idea? So you put in the sugar in there, and then you put in this other stuff in there, and they don't even call it creamer. They call it lightener. As if, like, no, we have nothing to do with the cow. This is just a bunch of chemicals. So I'm going to be sitting here drinking my chemicals, but I honestly think as much as we're going to talk about Markieff Morris, the Heat road trip, Jimmy Butler's big game the other night, this whole powdered creamer thing, at some point we have to get to also. But please, I digress.
It's like when you it's like this new age thing when you look on the ingredient list for stuff and it says that natural cane juice is an ingredient. No, it's sugar. It's sugar. Like let's be honest about this.
The ingredients on this just said on this it said in the back of the package just contains stuff. So whatever. I'm drinking some stuff, but let's get back to the hoops. First of all, and Clay, I listened to O's show a little before when we came on this morning on Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint. I do agree with him. I think when we all went back and looked at the Markieff Morris play, Clay, and this is something I thought about even before I saw the degree of the foul that Markieff Morris did, whether you thought it was a take foul or something else, was this. Why do that? It's a 17-point game. There's 2.5 minutes to go. Yes, 2 nights earlier, Utah had a big comeback in roughly that time frame, but it doesn't happen. You don't do a take foul then. You do a take foul when your lead is only 5 and there's 2 minutes to go and the other team's going to score an easy basket and you're not in the bonus and they're going to inbound on the side. I get it. What was he thinking or not thinking?
What it appeared to me, Ira, was there was some frustration there, not just because of the game, but because of also – I was really surprised that the officials didn't call a foul on Jokic when he hit Bam underneath. I mean, it looked like he hit him fairly hard. Mm-hmm. Not that it would rise. So it almost seemed like it was a combination of frustration of the game, frustration of that foul not being called. This is the distinction that I want to make here.
Sure.
Nobody here is saying that what Jokic did was justified. Like, I think what would have been justified, retaliation, I don't think anybody would have had a problem with.
Right.
What was, to me, disgusting is going and just clubbing somebody in the back while they're walking away. And Ira, this is, to me, and this is just my opinion,
Sure.
I feel like the reaction to this would have been different if Jokic had walked right up to Morris, tapped him on the shoulder, let Morris turn around, see him, and then hauled off and punched him in the face. Like, I think that would have almost been more acceptable than going up and clubbing somebody in the back.
You've been watching too much hockey.
Yeah, well, exactly. And see, look, I just feel like there are levels to, and look, even when Jokic was meeting with the media, which again, you and I talked about the fact that they met with the media and Heat players did not. Jokic even said that he saw Morris coming. He said he was expecting a lighter foul. He was just expecting a typical personal take foul.
Right.
He didn't expect the level that Morris took it to. So let's make this distinction here. What Morris did was over the top. It was wrong. If you want to call it dirty, I'm not going to have any problem with that. What Jokic did was worse. And to me, it was significantly worse because it was somebody who did not see it coming. And sure, you can make the argument that maybe Morris shouldn't have turned his back. He should have expected something. But to me, it would have been far different if whatever Jokic had done to Morris would have been something that he would have allowed Morris to see coming. And to me, that's the distinction there I think you have to make.
And it's interesting, Clay, because you have the hockey jersey behind you. And as you know, in hockey, there's a certain honor code.
Yes.
And when a player is facing the glass or the boards, you don't check him because it's very dangerous with a little dasher board that runs along. That's where there are a lot of concussions happen. It's sort of a known kind of thing.
Right.
I think Nikola Jokic just acted instinctively. He was angry. He just tried to shove, a general shove. But again, when you shove and you're 7 feet and 285 pounds, it's not your general typical shove. He knew as soon as he saw Markeith's neck snap backwards that this was not a good thing.
Yes.
And I'm not so sure I've ever seen from a basketball-related play a player being listed as out due to whiplash. Look, players have been in car accidents. We all understand that. We see the commercials. We have a bunch of terrific personal injury attorneys in South Florida advertising everywhere. I understand that whiplash factor. I don't think I've ever seen it on a basketball court. That's what made it that unusual. Like Big O said, I would not have been surprised if Markieff Morris was also suspended. I would not have been aghast at it. I am a little surprised because of the, like you point out, Clay, the intensity of the foul, the violence of the play, the result that it only was one game. And I think the league took into account that he wasn't the instigator, but he was the retaliator. So I guess therefore, but I honestly thought, I spoke to someone earlier in the day when the league was going through this, and I asked him, what do you think? And he says, well, we've spoken to the league. We expect fines for both the Heat players and a multiple game suspension for Jokic. So I'm not so sure that the reason it came out at 10 o'clock last night, very unusual time for the NBA, is they didn't negotiate down Nikola Jokic's penalty as well. And Clay, and we'll get into this also, I know we got a lot to get to today, and I think the social media aspect did not help either, because I think the league saw this thing going incredibly sideways between the Morris brothers and the Jokic brothers, and to a place where, hey, these teams are going to meet in just a little over 2 weeks right now.
And to me, Ira, I was almost expecting, and maybe this was expecting too much, that he would be suspended up until that game down here. And just to me,
probably a bit too much, yeah.
But look, I mean, see, even some of the comments are taking issue with the fact I said that it was that he got clubbed in the back, and somebody said, Morris is now soft because of what happened. Like, no, man, like you have somebody who is huge and strong, and I mean, Jokic probably goes out there and bench presses logs. I mean, so when you have somebody running up and with this full force and hitting somebody in the back, and Ira, I think you're right. I do think there was a part of me in the moment, and this is again to we're not trying to be homers here. There was a part of me in the moment, and then hearing Jokic afterward, I legitimately felt badly for him because I felt like to you, and again, just a small part of me, but I feel like what you said was true in that in that moment, he didn't realize his own strength. He knew that he had gone further than he had meant to go. Right. And I did feel badly for him in that respect, but that doesn't change what happened and the fact that it was a blatant cheap shot. And again, this is not absolving Markieff Morris, but the level of the retaliation was the problem.
It was who did it. Now, let's be honest. If he wasn't on the Miami Heat and another team, I think if you and I were to sit down, we'll probably do this exercise at some time along the way here in the Pallet Rack City inside the Paint Show, is that if we were to talk about the top 5 or 10 NBA instigators, they might not have their own rank on the list, but Morris brothers would wind up pretty high on that list. I think you'd agree. So I think the NBA looked at this also to a degree as a recidivist. as someone who's been here before, as someone who has instigated before, honestly, has instigated against the Heat. We saw a little bit of that in the 2020 NBA Finals when Markieff was with the Lakers. So I think that always factors in. And you know this especially from hockey. Guys who are seen as repeat offenders get harsher punishments, and guys who retaliate against repeat offenders sometimes are let off the hook. So I think, I don't know if this is the right phrasing, but I'm not so sure that someone in the NBA security office didn't go, that Morris guy's a jerk. I can understand what Jokic did because I got a list from here to there about things that Marcus and Markieff have done already. I think that factored into it also. I think, matter of fact, I would put it this way. If Jokic's play came against Tyler Hero, for example, I think it might have been multiple games. As babyface Tyler Hero, new dad, you got to be nice to him. But I think because it came against Markieff Morris, they're like, well, the dude had it coming to him because that's how he plays. That's part of it also. If Jokic did it against Udonis Haslem, there wouldn't have been any penalty. Of course, there would have been blood, but that's another story.
And we get another comment, RB Blanco, saying Jokic did nothing wrong. I firmly disagree with that. And
but he did what he had to. But he did what he had to do to a degree, Clay.
Again, I have no problem with retaliating. Like none.
Right.
But to me, it all goes back to there is a line that you do not cross, and he crossed that line. And it's kind of, you mentioned the honor code in hockey, but it's just being a man. It's like look at somebody or make sure somebody is looking at you when you were going to take that shot. And like I said, Jokic even admitted he saw Morris coming. He did not expect the level of force in the foul. It's all about that line between being a man, letting somebody see you coming versus going and hitting somebody in the back. And that's where I draw the line. And, it's not a fuzzy line for me. It's a very hard line in the sand that you don't cross that. So,
you know what's crazy also is that Markieff only got 20,000 more than Jimmy Butler, who was nothing but just a pest the whole time. So I get it.
By the way, did you find it interesting? We talk about players not talking to the media. Did you find it interesting that part of that fine with Jimmy Butler was because he refused to talk to NBA
and I want to
security?
fill you in on that. So I spoke to someone close to Jimmy Butler, and I said, why didn't Jimmy talk and just get it over? And the person texted me back, because you know what snitches get. And so, Clay, I texted back with the picture. I know, they get s'mores.
What?
Exactly.
All right, we're going to end on that one because we're not going to get
no stitches. No, and you know what? Again, for Jimmy, I think that was his way of standing up for the team. But that's, to me, you know what? Snitches get s'mores, so I'm going to leave it at that. Nice.
So we're going to talk a bit more about this, but I do want to hit the basketball side of this.
Please.
They have a game coming up tonight against the Lakers, and this is not the same Lakers team that we saw last year for a variety of reasons. We're going to get to this game, and I also want to talk about the aftermath of this, Ira, and that famous picture that you saw from, I believe, a Denver Post photographer that's kind of gone crazy. And to me, I made a comment on social media that I want to get to on that. That and so much more coming up right here on Inside the Paint.
Reach out to Ira and Clay. Drop them an email at insidethepaint@yahoo.com. Chime in on the YouTube chat board. You're listening to the Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint Show. When you need your warehouse looking good while staying efficient, there's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Pallet Rack City is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a great rack? Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Sports fans love a place with great food, cold drinks, and TVs everywhere. That's why sports fans love Sports Grill and their 7 amazing locations. Check out the Bird Road location at 11481 Southwest 40th Street in the back corner of the West Bird Shopping Center. Sports Grill is also now offering some great employment opportunities. All kinds of positions are now available from kitchen to hosting. Call for more information at 305-485-8845. From wraps to salads to amazingly delicious specialty dishes, Sports Grill is the home to the legendary special grilled wings. Since 1987, Sports Grill, good food, good drink, and good friends.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines. If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
When you're ready to purchase a new home loan or refinance the one you have, American Dream Lending will make sure your loan experience is easy with fast approvals and quick closings. With many loan programs and competitive rates, now is the time to turn your dreams into reality. Ask about special financing for veterans. They never charge an application fee, and you will work directly with one of their experienced loan professionals. Stop dreaming and contact American Dream Lending today, 786-802-1727, or online at adreamlending.com. Welcome back to the Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint program with Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro. Let's get back to the guys that just updated their email from Prodigy to AOL. Here's Ira and Clay.
Welcome back. And yes, that is true. We just updated from Prodigy to AOL. Every time. It gets me every time. So, Ira, the aftermath of this thing. And,
can you log off again? Because now you're on the left side. What's going on here?
I'm sorry that we're not getting your good side.
Actually, I'll have to get the sun on the other side now. Hey, I got up in time to shave. I feel good about the day.
That's it. Look, man, if I were out on the West Coast right now, I wouldn't be doing that either. Hey, guys, make sure to drop your comments, your questions here. We've gotten to a few of them so far. And this is a hot button topic, and I think you guys, I like kind of having this variety of opinion here, and going back and forth. And by the way, please make sure to hit the like button. You guys have been fantastic with that. Helps us out a lot. The downloads, everything, it's been fantastic for us. So, Ira, I want to talk about really quickly, we'll get to the Lakers game in a moment, this West Coast swing, but I want to talk about the aftermath of all of this. And there was a picture that has become, I tell you, it's gone viral. And what I said was, this is the picture that I want to see on Championship Alley if indeed the Heat find a way to go on and win the NBA championship. And it's that picture of the Heat core being held back. And it's they're in the tunnel. They're looking for Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, and it's after the game. And Ira, what I found interesting about this, and Sean, if you're with us, you can find this. It's on my Twitter account. What I found interesting about this picture, Ira, it's not like you've got just Udonis Haslem up front, and I say just Udonis Haslem, but somebody who isn't playing major minutes. You've got the Heat stars, quote unquote. It's Jimmy Butler. It's Kyle Lowry. It's Bam. I would say I love that Caron Butler is up front and center. You can only see like half of his face, but I mean, you've got an assistant coach who's up there. And then my favorite is Dwayne Dedman just standing in the background with a towel. It's like Dwayne Dedman is saying, just FYI, if you get through those guys, you gotta see me next.
He looked like the Undertaker almost, yeah.
Yeah, and here's Sean bringing it. All right, this is great. So you see on your left right there's Kyle Lowry. You see right behind him, it's Bam. On the far right, you see Jimmy looking over everybody's shoulder, trying to see who he can get to. You can barely see half of Caron Butler's face right there. Then you got Dwayne Dedman in the background. And again, Dedman's my favorite. I just think that's a fantastic cherry on the sundae. But Ira, to me, the fact that it's your stars who are front and center with this thing, and an assistant coach, and a role player who they are defending, it's kind of the opposite of typically what you see. We've talked about hockey a lot on this show, where you have that one enforcer and it's his number one job to protect the star. And you know hockey better than I, but who was the one who was the enforcer for years for Wayne Gretzky? Do you remember that?
I don't have the name right now.
So yeah, but it was in Edmonton. I mean, they had somebody who, like, if you got anywhere near Wayne Gretzky, they go after him. the fact, Ira, that it's the stars to me, like it's these guys saying we are going to stand up for anybody on this team. It's not just somebody who's going to go out there and score 15, 20 points a night.
And also, Sean, if you can bring the picture up, and Clay, you know who that is who's holding the players back, right?
That's Andy, right?
That's Andy Ellisberg, the Heat GM. This is when it is good to have a mountain of a man as your general manager, because he is probably bigger than anyone in that picture, maybe shy of Bam, but even then, Andy's pretty tall also. So he was the one. This is the way the situation works at Ball Arena. The Heat exit the court opposite their bench through one tunnel. The Nuggets enter through the other, but then they sort of come together. So right beyond where Andy is standing, if you go forward in this hallway, maybe 20 feet, that's where the Nuggets locker room is. They purposely have them leave opposite sides, even though they get relatively close, and Andy knew that. So that's the door that remains closed. On the other side where the players are, Heat locker room, behind Andy, going backwards here, about 20 feet is the Nuggets locker room. I give Andy all the credit in the world for being in that place at that moment, because this Heat team, with Udonis Haslem not playing, with Victor Oladipo sidelined, with KZ Okpala deemed not playable, and Marcus Garrett in the G League, they couldn't afford suspensions. They couldn't afford, number one, guys coming off the bench. Look, the league went through that, and this is important, Clay. There were no fines or suspensions for guys coming off the bench. You leave the bench during an NBA scrum, just walk a foot on the court. Heat fans go back in the day, know about P.J. Brown and what happens and stuff like that. So since all the penalties were adjudicated, we know the Heat's off of that. But if any Heat player went any further in that hallway, they probably would have been suspended, and even more when it comes to fines also. So I give Andy all the credit in the world for playing maybe the best defense the Heat played in Denver that night, when he was the one who got back in transition and made the stop in that case and kept it away. But you know what? It's just like we were talking before, this sort of, I don't want to say phony tough guy. UD calls them studio gangsters, going back to, Tyler Hansborough and players like that, the pretend tough guys. Don't do that after the game in the hallway. If you got a statement to make, do it on the court with your physicality, with your rebounding, that Denver is not scoring every single basket at the rim, and be more physical then. So to me, that to a degree was show. I love that the Denver Post photographer was able to capture that. The photography room is actually about 3 doors down from there. So he had a good vantage point where he was coming back and boom, hey, look, there's the Heat guys, click, click, and he got it. No one else did. And I guarantee if I would have taken that picture, I would have caught holy hell from the Heat for invading their privacy. So good for someone else and good for Ira in that case. But you know what? Enough with the tough guys and tough talk and Jimmy and I'll meet you behind and we'll see the Jokic brothers in Miami on the 29th. Show it on the court. Be tough guys tonight against Anthony Davis. Be tough guys tonight against whoever the Lakers are starting, the Kent Bazemore's and their fill-ins and the Russell Westbrooks. Enough of the show, enough of the bravado. The Heat had none of that during the game against Denver. Bottom line is, Clay, right now, the Miami Heat have lost 2 of their last 3 games and survived the other game after a fantastic comeback by the Jazz by 3 points. They got to get back on the right track.
Yeah, and to put a cap on this thing, by the way, this is why we love you guys. Somebody pointed out that looks like it's Malik Allen instead of Caron Butler. I thought it was half of Caron Butler's face, but maybe it is Malik Allen. Either way, the fact that you have somebody in that position being there front and center. So thank you guys for pointing that out. I'll say this about the fake tough guy thing. You have to be smart. And you can call it fake tough guy because I'm seeing this a lot, and this is what I don't agree with. You can be tough and not cost yourself a 20, 30 game suspension, which, look, if Jimmy Butler runs over and he starts punching people, you're talking about losing him for a good portion of the year.
You're getting Artest-like,
I feel like as stars, the players did a good job of towing that line between having their guys back and making sure, because you said, like, if they had gone any further past Andy, you're not talking about 20, 30 game suspension, but you're talking about something of a suspension. Like, I mean, it's not going to be pretty. So I feel like you have to toe that line. It's not being a fake tough guy. It's being smart, but you're not going to cost your team moving forward. Now, I do agree with this point from you, Ira. Show it on the floor. And that was an ugly game. It was a brutal game. It was 2 out of 3 where the Heat did not look like the Heat team that we've seen this year. And I think you can write, if they come out tonight and they blow out the Lakers, which, by the way, I think they need to win this game and win this game handily. That's a Lakers team without LeBron. It's a Lakers team that's still figuring out how to play with Russell Westbrook. Anthony Davis is probable, but yeah, he's still not 100%. Still a great player, but still not 100%. And it's a team that lost some key contributors. Just seen a guy like Alex Caruso going to Chicago and playing really well out there. This is not the Lakers team that we've seen in the past. And when you look at this road trip, Ira, I think you'd agree with me, this is probably the second most winnable game on this road trip behind the Oklahoma City game. And look, I know it's a fool's errand to kind of play this schedule game, right? But I would say the game at Utah, probably the toughest. The game last night, probably second toughest, and the game against the Clippers, probably third. And now you got to beat a Lakers team tonight, coming off what happened the other night, and you got to show that real toughness on the floor to make what some people are calling the fake toughness seem less fake.
And you know what, Clay? I was looking about this, and it's something I might write in my Sunday column. I think the NBA is really good this year because there's so few gimmies. And at the beginning of the year, I would have told you Cleveland's a gimme, but man, they're playing well. I know Colin Sexton's injured. That changes things. But when I looked at the Heat schedule, you know what? They're still going against Anthony Davis tonight. He can single-handedly beat you. They're still going against Russell Westbrook. He can single-handedly beat you. They're still going against Paul George tomorrow night. He can single-handedly beat you. There really are very few gimmies in this league. Even coming home next week for 2 quick games before going back out for a 4-game road trip, you have the Pelicans. Yes, Zion Williamson isn't playing, but Brandon Ingram can single-handedly beat you. And the next night, Bradley Beal can single-handedly beat you.
I'm just reading the comments.
I can tell you were interested there.
I mean, we have a celebrity in our midst. Can you read the comments?
I cannot without putting on the glasses.
Let's just say that there is somebody who claims to be an adult film star in our midst. Sorry, I got to get past that. Please. You're right. There are no gimmies. And you mentioned Cleveland, and look at what they're doing with Ricky Rubio. All of a sudden is like the key to a team going from being awful to being truly respectable.
And Mobley, the rookie, has been terrific. Again, on this trip, maybe Oklahoma City, because they're below the salary floor. They're playing for the future. They're doing this game of we're going to get a gazillion picks, never actually use them, but keep pointing to the future. So you can look at that game. But this league, you have a test every night, and I think the Heat have to learn it. And honestly, to this point, when the going has gotten tough for the Heat have capitulated. We saw it against Boston. We saw it against Denver. Indiana. They had one comeback against Indiana. They came back a little bit, but even then, in the overtime, they were terrible. One of the worst overtimes ever for this team. So I need to see that resolve. I need to see that when I'm watching a Heat game, and if they are down 5, 8, 11 points in the first half, that there's a resolve to make it more of a game. Utah showed that to us on Saturday at FTX Arena. They didn't quit in the middle of the fourth quarter when their deficit was 19. They said, we're going to show some fight. We're going to get ready for next Saturday's game coming up now this Saturday. And you just like to see a little bit more of that. I don't know what chat you're reading, though.
No, the great adult film star Peter North is dropping comments in our chat right now.
Or someone claiming to be. It does
that's right. Because I'm sure it's 100% him. Look, so I agree with you to this point. We have not seen this Heat team show it yet. I think the counter to that, to be fair, is it's still extremely early in the season. And so they're going to have opportunities to show that. I think the Indian and Ira, there are ways where you could write off what happened. Like you could look at if they find a way to come out tonight, and let's say it's a close game in the fourth quarter, and Jimmy Butler wills you to a victory, or tomorrow night for that matter, then you can say, okay, maybe those games against Indiana without Kyle Lowry, the blowout loss to Boston, and the terrible game in Denver, maybe those are the exceptions as opposed to the rule. But the exceptions are starting to add up, if that's the case. And so it's time for this team to go out and show it. I think they built up enough equity early in this season that you can at least give them the opportunity to prove that. But this is a trip where you're going to have to prove it. And look, the Jokic, Markieff Morris thing aside, 0 for 1. That was an ugly game up until that point. They were not the tougher team. And look, I think they have been for just about every other game this season. They're rebounding much better. But they got to show it tonight. And they got to show it against – you're right. I mean, Anthony Davis is going to be the best player on the floor. And yet the next 4 three or four best players on the floor. I'm not a Russell Westbrook guy at this point.
I'm still afraid or concerned about Russell Westbrook because I think he still is capable of moments. And I think it's actually going to be harder for Russell Westbrook when LeBron plays and he has to play as a third wheel than when they could say, okay, AD's our big guy. You're the entire perimeter game. We still have so many guys with injury. Taylor Horton-Tucker is out. He's not playing. Kendrick Young has yet to make his debut. Trevor Ariza is out. So I worry a little bit about Westbrook also in a game like this, that it's sort of, hey, do whatever you want. Go Washington on them if you have to. So that's a concern of mine. And Kyle Lowry's coming off a scoreless game, which you would almost think is impossible. And so I'm wondering what his, his step back is after that. Does he assess what went wrong? Does he say it's just a one-off? But more than anything with the schedule, and you talked about the Heat getting on track, their schedule is so road-intensive early. Again, 9-game trip. They come home for 2 games, and it's a back-to-back at FTX Arena against the Pelicans in Washington. Boom! They're right out for a 9-day trip again where they go to Washington and Detroit and Minnesota and Chicago, come home for a couple of games, and boom, they're out for another East Coast swing. Clay, if they can just remain afloat through the first third of the season, there's going to be payback at the end. When all those other teams are playing their road games, the Heat, you will see on their schedule of all those home games in March and April, so they can make up ground. They just have to stay afloat. Getting that early sort of hedge they had with the good early record is going to help because the next 3 will be tough. Again, they'll be playing the Clippers on the second night of a back-to-back. The Clippers played last night right over here at Staples Center. They're off today, so they'll get a somewhat tired team. Then the Heat going back to altitude after playing in Denver and then going up to Salt Lake City. So it's going to be rough. They built up enough equity, but they cannot afford nights where there's only one good player. Jimmy Butler was terrific in Denver. Bam was not. Kyle Lowry was not. Tyler Hero was not. That's not how this team is built. That's how the teams were built when Jimmy Butler was in Chicago and to a degree in Minnesota. Here, if you have a big 4, and I think we can include Tyler Hero in that right now, you better get at least 2 and probably 3 of them near the top of their games.
And I would say, going back to when this road trip started, I felt like they could go 2-3 on this trip and still feel really good about who they are moving forward.
You feel good, not really good, but feel good. But again, it's when the losses come.
More that, like, I think they're going to be underdogs in 3 out of these 5 games. They were underdogs in Denver the other night, correct?
Right.
So I think they're favored tonight. I believe they'll be underdogs tomorrow night. They'll be up in the air. And then obviously, so like, you can still feel as though you're on the trajectory that you were on before the trip. But I'll say this, because of what happened in Denver the other night, both over the first 46 minutes of the game and also with 2:19 left to go in the game, I feel like the spotlight's going to be a little heavier tonight. And like, the Heat aren't just going to go out there because they're playing the Lakers and because it's on national TV and because it's a team that potentially down the line, maybe you meet in the NBA. Like, it's because they have to show that they're not going to lay down after what happened the other night, both for the first 46 minutes and also the 2 minutes after that.
And they've lost 2 of the last 3. And all of a sudden,
that's true too.
A team that loses 3 of 4 and is playing on the second night of a back-to-back, I don't know if that sets off alarms or whatever, but it sets off concerns. Look, Clay, the way they played through their first 7 games of the season, if I would have told you the Heat are going to have a stretch coming up within a week, they're going to lose 3 or 4, you go, come on. These guys are the hottest thing going. Everyone has them at number 1 in their power rankings. They're going to the NBA Finals, for God's sakes, when Victor Oladipo comes back. So, yeah, I think it'll be really interesting. If you have to marinate on a loss to the Lakers, sitting in your hotel room over there in Beverly Hills, and then have to come back against the Clippers with losses in 3 or 4, that'd be a big concern. Not critical mass. We're still in November. But reason for concern, you bet. And remember, Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero are questionable for tonight with minor knick-knack injuries. That injury report was pretty interesting last night. I went to look at it just to see what Markieff Morris was going to be listed out with, and it said whiplash. But all of a sudden, I'm like, whoa, Tyler Hero? Whoa, Bam Adebayo? I didn't expect that. So I'm not sure we'll get clarity at shoot-around. I'm not sure you know how this goes, pregame, whether Eric Spoelstra tells us. It's going to be really interesting tonight at about 9:30 p.m. when the starting lineups come out, just to know for sure who is in and who is out.
One more thing I want to talk about, Ira, and maybe we'll talk about this more on the other side, but the Duncan Robinson thing is starting to become a little bit of a concern to me, and it's for this reason. I think, and I was out there at shoot-around before the Boston game last week, And Duncan was asked about the new basketball. And Duncan, like, you could see the look in his face, like he knew the question was going to come at some point.
Right.
And he basically said, look, I know if I say anything other than what I'm going to say, that it's going to blow up somewhere. So all I'm going to say is that it's different. It's something we have to adjust to. I'm not saying it's worse. I'm not saying it's better. But he's not the only one who's struggling to this point. Paul George has struggled shooting the basketball, and it's been something that's come up, that the ball is a reason why. James Harden. I do think James Harden, part of that is the new rules, that are getting him. Plus, there was an article, I think, by Mark Stein that kind of basically pointed out that Harden looks old right now. CJ McCollum, head of the Players Association, has basically said he's going to present to the league. He's going to look into this a little bit. And he even had to tweet out later a clarification saying, look, I'm not saying this is the reason why he said, I'm missing shots because I'm missing shots.
Right.
But it's become enough of a thing around the NBA.
And Damian Lillard also, who's been horrible this season. So that's another guy. Again, the league said it's the same leather. They use the stock that Spalding did from recent years, so there shouldn't be any difference. Maybe it's mental also, that it just looks different like that. But yeah, when I talked to Duncan Robinson earlier in the season and did a story in the Sun Sentinel, he said the same thing. He said, yes, it's different, it's tangible, and we have to make it work. So I think that's part of it also. I think Duncan's shots are so open that he's missing that I find it hard to believe it's the basketball, because it's the same size ball, the same size rim, and not the same results.
And if it is mental, if it is indeed mental, it's the type of thing that as a shooter, once they start going in, they can start going in a lot. And we saw that last year with Duncan. I mean, he went through some stretches where he wasn't very good. And then he would go through some stretches where he caught fire. I do think it's interesting that, as you said, the shots are open. And I want to talk a little bit on the other side of this about, there's a Ringer article out right now that praises the Heat a lot and kind of dissects why some of those shots are open. And the bottom line is, if those shots are open moving forward, and if this article is correct, they're going to continue to be, teams are going to have to account for that. So we're going to talk about that and a lot more on the other side right here on Inside the Paint.
You're listening to the Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint Show. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a good rack? Pallet Rack City. When you need your warehouse looking good while staying efficient, there's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Pallet Rack City is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a great rack? Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547.
Folks, you can support the hardest working sports talk show in South Florida through Cash App or Venmo. Just search Cash Big O Show. Support us through Cash App or Venmo. Cash Big O Show. We thank you for your incredible support. For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
When When you're ready to purchase a new home loan or refinance the one you have, American Dream Lending will make sure your loan experience is easy with fast approvals and quick closings. With many loan programs and competitive rates, now is the time to turn your dreams into reality. Ask about special financing for veterans. They never charge an application fee, and you will work directly with one of their experienced loan professionals. Stop dreaming and contact American Dream Lending today. 786-802-1727 or online at adreamlending.com. If it's hardcore hoops you desire, make sure you subscribe to the Big O Radio Show and never miss an episode of Inside the Paint. Let's get back to the Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint Show with Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro.
Welcome back. Home stretch here on Inside the Paint. We've got Ira Winderman back on his bad side and me on my good side. I may have bribed Sean Stanley to do that. Keep dropping your comments, your questions in the chat. I mentioned this before the break, Ira. We're going to talk about the upcoming schedule a little bit more over this last segment, but there's a great article from Kevin O'Connor from The Ringer, and what he pointed out was something that I found interesting about this Heat team, and he goes through like a bunch of X's and O's stuff, and feel free to read it. It's great, and if you're a basketball geek, it'll kind of help you out a little bit to kind of figure out how this team's gotten better. But Ira, one thing that I found interesting was he pointed out that what the Heat are doing right now, because they have, you mentioned essentially a big four, and maybe it's a big four in lowercase letters because it's not like a Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant big four. But he said that what this team has right now with those four players, and let's say you can add one more down the line if Oladipo comes back, you have the ability to hunt matchups now. And so what the Heat are doing more effectively this year than they've done in years past is ISO ball. And he said before they were so reliant on these dribble handoffs and, Goran Dragic getting into the paint, for example, and then finding guys. He said what this team is able to do right now, it's, okay, look, if you get a big man switched over onto Tyler Hero, good luck with how he's dribbling the ball right now and able to get to his spots. It's basically that what they're able to do right now, it's not that you have a Kevin Durant style ISO player who is so good that he can beat your best.
Yes.
But it's as you go down to the third best, fourth best defender on the floor for the other team, your third best scorer, your third best or fourth best offensive player now is significantly better than their third or fourth best defender.
Correct.
So they're able to hunt where that gap is the most. If your number one defender is bad, Jimmy Butler's going to go at you. If your third best, so I found that interesting in that this team has been so based on ball movement and dribble handoff, and it still is in many instances. But what this team has that they didn't have last year is the ability to hunt matchups, and it's something that's going to serve them well, hopefully, when we get into some close games down the stretch.
And I think you especially see that in the second unit with Tyler Hero. I mean, Tyler Hero's doing a lot of stuff off of ISOs. That's his game. And the way he's getting to his comfort spot in the mid-range, it's not, he's not forcing the three. He's not forcing it at the rim against bigger guys. He's doing it that way also. There's been so much written about the Heat bench and how great it is. And I was talking with Anthony Chang of the Herald about this. Yeah, because Tyler's playing so well. In other words, if you take Tyler off that second unit and for argument's sake, put KZ Okpala in there instead, people would be talking about how bad the Heat bench is. The six-man role is important in the NBA, and Tyler's really been important for them because of that. And that's the thing. And this is why I tend to cycle back in my Ask Ira feature at Sun Sentinel, probably at least even once a week. I am so tantalized by the possibilities with Victor Oladipo, Clay. Because if you can get to that point where I can have on the floor, and we've talked about the Heat great defensive stopper team, but if I can have on the court Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero, Victor Oladipo, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo, where everyone is live, then like you spoke about that Ringer article, Cooper Moorhead of theheat.com has done one also. It's not only the first, second, or third defender you're picking on, but it might be number 4 and number 5. So I don't think there's a bigger story, a bigger future thought story for the Heat than Victor Oladipo. And here's what's interesting. I was looking around at the trainers because I'm doing a story on Big Face Coffee, and Duncan Robinson now has a new agreement with Dunkin' Donuts, and he's going to help the South Florida Food Bank, which is an awesome thing. Yeah. So I said, why do you think you can compete with Jimmy Butler, when Brandon Gilliam, their trainer, couldn't with Little Face Coffee, got run out of business in the bubble? And then I looked around to find Brandon just to ask him, his coffee business went to crap. How's Duncan going to compete? And I was told something interesting. Brandon's not on this trip. He's been the number 2 trainer on this team. He's back in South Florida with Victor Oladipo. They are working with Victor Oladipo. This is not, hey, if you're not traveling, out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
This is, we're on the road for 9 days. You're in the gym for 9 days. And Clay, it's going to happen. It might be one of those mornings when you're down at Heat shoot around, and all of a sudden you're just having an innocuous conversation with Max Strus, and he goes, man, it really felt good to see Vic out there again today. Boom. All of a sudden, okay, you can't get on Local 10 because the news isn't on, but you're calling David Seelig or someone over there, and you're saying, I got to get this online right away. I think that's how it's going to happen. So my question is, does it happen in December? Does it happen in January? That's the game changer for the Heat. When you and I get closer to the February 10th NBA trading deadline, the March 1st NBA buyout deadline, we're going to be throwing all these names around. But if you bring Victor Oladipo back and anything close to Victor Oladipo, I don't think another team can match that with a personnel move.
Yeah, Ira, I don't want this to get buried. I think that's pretty significant news that the Heat's essentially number 2 trainer, if you want to call him that. I don't mean to assign any sort of is staying almost full time with Victor Oladipo to make sure that he's getting the best. You don't do that for a player that you don't think is going to contribute heavily at some point down the line. So I don't want that to get buried. I think that's a fairly big story, and I think it kind of circles back to what we've talked about the last couple of weeks, which is, does this team need to go out and add somebody? And I've been of the belief that, with Oladipo, it's kind of, I felt like you treat it as a bonus. That if and when he comes back and if and when he plays at a high level, it's like, okay, great, what a great surprise, but you have to operate as though that's not going to happen. And so my thinking this whole time, and I think I'm still there, even with your news nugget there, is that you have to be proactive in making sure, especially the backup point guard spot, is solidified moving forward.
Yes.
But if Victor is getting closer, right? Because I think he's somebody that can come in and fill that role. Not that he's going to be your point guard, but if you need somebody who's going to come in and defend, handle the ball, and take some of the pressure off of Jimmy and Bam in a situation where maybe Kyle Lowry is out, he's somebody who can do all of that. So I'm glad you said that. I think that's really interesting moving forward. And I do think that kind of changes Victor Oladipo's status will impact how Miami attacks the deadline, how they attack buyout options, how they attack that backup point guard position. And I feel like this, and we've heard this over and over, Ira, Mickey Arison is perfectly fine going into the tax for a championship team. This team, despite 2 of the last 3 games, has shown at least enough to where they at least warrant that consideration. If they're playing this level of basketball as we get closer to the deadline and at the buyout option, and the Heat don't make a move, that tells me that if Victor Oladipo isn't on the floor yet, it's coming quickly.
And if Victor Oladipo comes back, you don't have to go into the tax because you don't have to add a single dollar on your roster there also. And Clay, that's why it's really important to get a tangible sample before the trading deadline to know what Victor Oladipo is or Victor Oladipo is not, so you can move forward. Is he 75% of himself? Is he 50% of himself? Is he a guy who can come back and just make shots for you? And to know that going forward, that was a real under-the-radar kind of move they made, bringing him back at the minimum, and now they get to judge. So now the question is from Victor Oladipo, which means more to him this season? Showing what he has so we can go out and get a free agent contract, or not showing what he doesn't have, because if he comes back and he's not himself, he's had his last big contract. He turned down the big money, I think $80 million or something like that in Indiana. He didn't re-up. He turned down $40 million plus in Houston when he didn't re-up. Now he's making 2.5 or so, and that could be it. So I'm curious to see where he is mentally also. People ask me, how is he going to fit in with Tyler playing so well? Clay, you know this. You could never have too much talent. No. If the Panthers are rolling out a great 4th line, it's not a bad thing. If the Heat are rolling out a great 9th man, it's not a bad thing. So I think Victor Oladipo, almost every show we do now on Pallet Rock City Inside the Paint, I think almost has a place in the show, this sort of Vic update. I'll be curious to see pregame when I get back to South Florida next Wednesday and Thursday when they have that back-to-back set, what he looks like even pregame. Is he out there shooting? Is he out there doing something? The Heat hate that. The Heat have always said concentrate on who's playing, not on who's not playing. Yeah, no, I'm going to concentrate on who might be playing. And like every other media guy these days with my iPhone, trying to send out as much video on Vic as I can.
Well, and that's what they have to do. That's what the players in that building have to do. Like, they have to focus on not just the next opponent, but the next film session, the next practice. It's always gotten me, Ira, and you'll see this on like message boards, or if you tweet something about Victor Oladipo, fans will say, "Oh, don't say that. We got to worry about the Lakers tonight. We got to, you don't want to distract." We don't play. We don't we do, but it's ugly, and we look like, in my case, a 42-year-old guy that never could jump and still really can't jump. But our vision and what we talk about doesn't matter when it comes to the distraction of the team. It is absolutely, if you're a fan, if you're looking long-term at this team, it is absolutely an important aspect, an important piece of this puzzle, not just for what this team may do in the playoffs, but even before then, if they decide to make a move. All of that has to be factored in. Last 5 minutes of the show, Ira, let's talk about the upcoming schedule. We got the Lakers tonight. What's your read on this game? I've kind of put it out there already. I think the Heat go out and they make a statement tonight. I feel like they're angry, and they want to prove not just that the game was a fluke, but that anybody who's claiming that was fake tough guy stuff, I think this is a team that goes in there to LA tonight and tries to prove that they're the team that's going to be the bully moving forward. They're not going to be bullied.
I'm still a little concerned because the Lakers have played like French fried crap also with LeBron being out. So that's a concern that they want to make their own statement. They barely survived their Monday game here. I'm still not sure the Heat have anyone to guard to cover Anthony Davis. Again, bigger player against Bam remains a concern. And I'm always wary against Russell Westbrook. Hopefully they can contain him. The Heat seemingly in the first 5 would have the advantage there, but the Lakers are at home. I think it's going to be a challenge. I think if Anthony Davis is healthy and feeling okay, he's had the stomach ailment, I think that's where this game will be decided with AD. Could he go for one of his 40 and 14s or something like that? I think the Heat are going to have to put a lot of pressure on him. I think they're going to have to bring the double team. And I think our friend, the man with the golden arm, Wayne Ellington, could be a factor in this game. He is notorious ever since he left the Heat for loading up. He beat the Heat last season with the Detroit Pistons when he came into what was then American Airlines Arena. So that's a concern of mine also, is leaving the three-point shooters and seeing what Wayne Ellington does tonight.
Here's another thing I want to see. I want to see Bam step up against a true big man. And,
Yes.
I know Anthony Davis is not, he sees himself as a 4. And yet what you've seen when Bam went up against Rudy Gobert, he played well against Gobert,
Mm-hmm.
but when he went up against Jokic, he did not. And the numbers are not there. He's still impacting the game.
Right.
But if you're trying to take that next step from all-star to borderline superstar, all-NBA level player, I'm talking all-NBA third team type, you have to bring it against the best players in the NBA. I know he's questionable tonight. Assuming he's able to go, assuming he's good enough to play at a high level, I got to see him play at a high level against Anthony Davis. And if he can just get in Anthony Davis's way, if he can just come close to matching Davis's output, and I know that's asking a lot, but if he can, I think they win this ball game going away. So after this, you got the Clippers the following night. You close out this road trip with another one against the Utah Jazz and then Oklahoma City. What do you think is best case for how this plays out?
I'd like to get to 3-2. I think that would be a good trip for them. So you're probably talking about wanting to get both of these next 2 if possible. But the Clippers are playing better. Paul George is having an all-star season without any question. Of course, Kawhi Leonard out for the first half of the season, maybe the entire season. Not a lot of depth on that Clippers team, but guys like Reggie Jackson can go off. So you have to keep an eye out there. Be the Morris brothers against each other. Markieff against Marcus. If Markieff can get back, which I guess right now would be highly questionable, but it'll be another case of twins on the court like we had when we had Caleb Martin and his brother Cody when the Heat played the Hornets. I think Saturday would be tough. Utah will be looking for revenge, but the Heat did seem to have a feel and had enough scare thrown in them in that fourth quarter comeback that I think they'll be okay. And then I think when you get to Oklahoma City, it's got to be a must-win. That's just a team that's playing for the future again. If you can get to 3-2, fine. You move forward. If you finish at 2-3, hey, you only lost 1 game of standings. If you don't win at least 2, then we'll be talking about the Heat's lost 4 or 5 or something like that, and that's a concern.
All right, we want to thank all of you for hanging out with us right here, and especially we want to thank Peter North for joining the show today. We really appreciate the commentary. He said that he was courtside for the last Lakers game. Prove it to us, Peter. If you're courtside tonight, take some pictures of the game. Pictures and videos of the game, not of what you're famous for. Thanks for hanging out right here inside the paint.
Thank you, guys.
You You've been listening to the Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint program with Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. Search Big O Radio Show on most platforms. Subscribe and smash the like button to support Inside the Paint. If you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business, there's only one choice: Pallet Rack City.
This is the Big O Show.
Sports fans love a place with great food, cold drinks, and TVs everywhere. That's why sports fans love Sports Grill and their 7 amazing locations. Check out the Bird Road location at 11481 Southwest 40th Street in the back corner of the West Bird Shopping Center. Sports Grill is also now offering some great employment opportunities. All kinds of positions are now available, from kitchen to hosting. Call for more information at 305-485-8845. From wraps to salads to amazingly delicious specialty dishes, Sports Grill is the home to the legendary special grilled wings. Since 1987, Sports Grill, good food, good drink, and good friends.
It's the Big O Show.
The viewpoints, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc., ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
Back after Ira and Clay do their thing on the Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint show. As always, excellent work by them. Appreciate them as always. I know Heat fans are always appreciating that. This is hour number 4 of the program. Appreciate all of you for hanging in there. Those of you that have been on the ride the entire time. How many of you have actually right now on the chat board, you can say you've been riding with us since 10 a.m.? I'd like to know, because it's kind of interesting, because I don't think most people hang in there until 10 a.m. from 10 a.m. on, which is always impressive. But good stuff by Ira and Clay. I am looking at the market, by the way. Nervous Network is back to 3 cents. Back to 3 cents. Okay? Now, remember 2 days ago, right, Sean? Nervos was down. And in front of you guys, I bought on the dip, and I bought a little bit more on the dip because it stayed around 2.5, 2.5 cents. And I told you it went to 3.25 cents. We told you about Nervos when it was at 1.9, just under 2 cents, and it went all the way up to 3.3 or something like that. So I knew it was going to go there, and it's going to go way more up. So now it's back up to 3 cents. So on that dip, we got back in. And there you go, CKB paying off big time. It is up to 3 cents again, dude. It has skyrocketed, 10.3% up. I am loving it. And I think Bitcoin is going to hit $70,000 today. It is at 68,809. It's up 2.73% right now on the day, and it is climbing. It's only 1248. I think we're hitting 70K today on Bitcoin. How about that? So there you go. All right, we got a lot of things to talk about here in this final hour of the program. I got a bunch of things that I want to get to. Remember, tomorrow we're at Sports Grill in the evening. We'll be here in the morning, really short show, maybe an hour and a half. I don't think I'll do a lot, tomorrow, because, again, we've got 4 hours on Thursday night. And then on Friday, I don't know, Sean, do we do the 10 a.m. show, or do we sleep in a little? I got to talk to – the good thing is Ira's due on Friday, and he's out on the West Coast, so I can push him back. Pushing him back is not a problem. You know what I'm saying? It's but you know what? I think it'll be fine with Omar, too, and all. Actually, later for them might be a little bit more, because we're on in the middle of when they're in the middle of their work, too, at the same time. So it's kind of a tough situation for us with the hour that we're in. Carlos Alfaro says, I staked Cardano on Atomic Wallet. Okay. I don't use the Atomic Wallet, but I'm glad you staked it, my brother. That is good. That is definitely good. Eddie Lepp says he's been on since 11. Steve Chapman says I'm still here. I believe you. Thomas Jensen, definitely you are there. I can see that you're there since 10 o'clock. Go to Viola. I don't know if he, I think he means 10 o'clock because he put 1. So I think he's been there. So there you go. Appreciate all of you out there. All right. So we got a couple things that I want to talk about locally, nationally, all kinds of different stories that are going on in sports. And I want to get into a little bit of that with some of you. First of all, we talked a little bit about yesterday about Manny Diaz complaining a little bit to the people. He was answering a question, and we talked with Manny Navarro about this, that a couple days ago, Manny brought up the fact that he didn't like that James Blake was talking about, reassessing the situation with the football program and Manny Diaz and all that, and that it's hurt recruiting. I wanted to add a little something because I think Manny Diaz, being new at anything, Sean and I reestablishing everything here on the podcast, and now we're the podcast is growing to places that we've never been to. And so now we're going to probably do things and we're going to make mistakes, right? Because, Sean doesn't make mistakes. I make mistakes, but either way. But, that's what I'm saying. We're all going to make mistakes in every venture that we do, right? So you look at this situation with Manny, new coach. So you're going to make mistakes. You're a couple of years in. He made another mistake this past week because Blake James is only doing his job. Blake James has to cover his ass. He hired Manny. And if Manny's not getting it done, which he wasn't getting it done, and he kind of still isn't, let's be honest, okay? Let's be honest, all right? It's, not something that is really going to end up happening, So let's be honest. So he's got to cover his ass. They're not really going to fire him, but he has to say it. And so now, because, hey, man, if Manny continues to lose and it's a disaster, then maybe you might have to make a change. You know what I mean? And so I know Manny's not going to get fired in the end. I understand. And now that he's won these 3 games, there's no shot he gets fired. All these people that are talking about a stadium and buying Mario Cristobal, that's so, and I know Manny says that they're kind of, when I see them actually start spending money, then I'll believe it. But here's where Manny screwed up in all of this. You don't talk about it, dude. You don't talk about it. Even if you're asked about it, you say, hey, man, listen, we're fine. We're moving forward. Everything's great. We're winning. Let's talk about the positives here. We're going to build on it. You don't want to publicly, as the head coach, even if the reporter asks it, you dance around it. You don't address it because now you've given the people you compete with more ammunition because they can now say, well, do you know if he's returning? Well, do you see he and the AD aren't seeing eye to eye anymore? The AD doesn't believe in him. You sure you want to go there, kid? So all you've done now, Manny Diaz, is add more fuel to the uncertainty fire. And listen, I'm not here to defend Manny Diaz by any stretch whatsoever. I was already wrong on Manny. Okay? I admit it. I'm wrong. I wanted Manny Diaz. I thought he would be the right fit. I haven't been impressed with what he's done. I'm happy that they're winning the last 3 games. But, I mean, come on. This is still not the Canes football that I really would love to see. You know what I'm saying? I'm just happy that they're winning. I'd rather win than lose. I mean, I've seen enough losing. And so Manny has to understand that he can't fuel that fire on his own anyways. So if he thinks he was going to, take another try to gain some power from the board of directors or whatever, from the president and the board and all that stuff by trying to see if he can jump over the AD in this sense, he wasn't going to do it because Manny has done nothing pretty much to convince anybody that he's the real deal. It's nice that they've won, but it's still not convincing. It's nice that a couple of young players are playing well, but it's not convincing. You know what I'm saying? So I thought about that and I said, he probably should have stayed away from the comment because things are rough enough as it is. By you addressing it publicly and now everybody quoting you on it, you just made it that much harder on you to survive. You know what I mean? Next year, if he falters with 1 year left, then maybe I can see them make a change. So until this program proves that they no longer want to be cheap, then I'll believe that they actually want to advance. But for now, I would say, Manny, keep it quiet, bro. Don't fuel that fire. Folks, have you seen what's happened with Dalvin Cook? And, Dalvin Cook, now, we don't specifically know exactly everything that went on, but it's not looking good for Dalvin Cook if you look at the reports, if you look at the pictures, if you look at everything going on right now with Dalvin Cook. And for those of you that don't know, Graceland Trimble, she's a sergeant, and she was going out with Dalvin Cook. And let me bring up here, first of all, I'm going to bring up the texts. Well, you know what? Let me bring up the pictures first, because I think we should bring up the pictures first so I can show you what's gone on here and what happened to Graceland and her pictures of the damage that he caused. And this is the lady. Okay. And let me see if I can actually, I don't think I can enlarge this anymore than what it is, right? Let me see. I don't know if that does it there. If that does it, you can see it there. Let's take that. There we go. Thank you, Sean. So as you see there, Graceland, so apparently she was beaten reportedly by Dalvin Cook. And there's another picture, by the way, of this young woman and the beating that she allegedly suffered at the hands of Dalvin Cook. And there's the other picture. They're pretty brutal. And then here's the text. And she says, and here's Dalvin. I know what I did can't be rewind, but I just want you to know I'm sorry. I love you so much despite you thinking I don't or never did, but I do. Whatever you need, I'm here for you. And if you want to go to the police, I'll respect that. I'll take my punishment for what I did. And then she says, Dalvin, my face is so messed up, I probably won't even get to see my family for Thanksgiving. So he goes on to say, and I'm sorry for that. But the situation just got out of hand from the jump. Can you come back to me? Which, it's, you start to think about that. You're going, yeah, this is not something that you want to come back to. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to see let me show you where is it here? Here we go. What did I do here? Uh-oh. Here we go. I messed up here. All right, here we go. Let me show you also the text from the text that I just read and the exchange between Dalvin and the young lady. See, here it is. Dalvin, the chef cook. And then here it is. I know what you did. I know what I did. It can't be rewound, but I just want you to know I'm sorry. I love you so much despite you thinking I don't and never did, but I do. Whatever you need, I'm here for you. And if you want to go to the police, I'll respect that. I'll take my punishment for what I did. And then she says, Dalvin, my face is so messed up. I probably won't ever get to go see my family for Thanksgiving. And I'm sorry for that, but the situation got out of hand from the jump. Can you come back to me? So now the NFL is now looking into this situation because they got to know what's real and what's not in all of this. But I want you to all think about this. Is there a text? Are there any pictures like this for Deshaun Watson? Is the lawyer saving it for the case so he doesn't whip it out now, where then everybody, it becomes public and all that stuff. And it becomes that much harder, actually, to even, if you can get to the point that you have a jury. Okay. We don't even know if you can get to that point. But that's my point in all of this. This is something we don't know. In this case, there are damaging pictures, there are damning texts that go along with it. Now, they're putting out a story also with all of this, and because obviously we've got to tell both sides of the story. Dalvin Cook allegedly abused a former girlfriend, causing concussions during an altercation at his home last year, the Star Tribune reports. The newspaper reported that the woman filed a lawsuit in Dakota County accusing Cook of assault, battery, and false imprisonment. However, Cook's attorney, David Valentini, said his client was assaulted by the woman after she broke into his residence, saying in a statement Tuesday night that she later tried to extort millions of dollars. Well, I mean, look what you've done to her. If that you did that allegedly, you can expect to be extorted for millions of dollars. The Vikings released a statement saying they recently received notification from Dalvin Cook's legal representatives regarding the situation that occurred between Dalvin and a female acquaintance in November of 2020, and it led to an ongoing dispute between the parties. Upon learning of this, we immediately notified the NFL. We're in the process of gathering more information and will hold further comment at the time. In a separate statement, the NFL said it was notified by the Vikings and the matter would be declined on further comment. The woman identified herself as Gracelyn Trimble, a sergeant in the U.S. Army. The newspaper said that according to the lawsuit, she flew to Minnesota to break up with Cook and get her belongings from the home when things allegedly turned violent. She accused Cook of giving her a concussion, leaving scars on her face, and taking me through hell. The newspaper said that according to the suit, she used mace on him before going into the bedroom, grabbing his gun and calling a friend for help, leading the running back to attacking her with a broomstick, she alleged. When she returned to Florida after the altercation, she told medical personnel she had been in an ATV accident after seeking treatment for injuries. Valentini, however, said in a statement Tuesday that the woman allegedly used a stolen garage door opener to enter his home illegally, then attacked him and the guest, using mace on him upon entering, forcing Cook and his guest to remain at the residence at gunpoint for hours. Cook's lawyer alleged that Trimble had been attempting to extort money from Cook ever since. No criminal charges were filed, and police were not contacted at the time of the altercation. So, we don't know what to believe, kind of like the Watson thing. Although in this case, we have way more proof than we do in Watson. We have pictures of physical abuse. We have the alleged abuser apologizing for the abuse, admitting the abuse, admitting that he would take his punishment with the police. And these are the things I thought about with the Watson case right away. There are 22 women. How do we know there aren't any of these kind of texts yet? How do we know there aren't any of these kind of pictures? We don't. And even in this case, we still don't have the whole story. It looks bad, really bad for Dalvin Cook. Okay? If this is true, in my book, people like this don't deserve to play in the NFL anymore. That's it. And I hope he serves jail time for this if he did this. And if he did this, well, he's an absolute and total scumbag. We all know that now. But this is why at times we have to kind of, take a step back, see what the hell's going on, gather all the information, and then we can figure it out. That's why if you're the Dolphins, you don't want to trade for a guy that there's a chance he could be guilty. And if he is guilty, it's going to make you look like an idiot you traded for a criminal. And right now, Dalvin Cook looks pretty damn guilty. It's pretty disgusting, the pictures that you see there. Let's see how this one develops. We will definitely find out. Let's see, what else do we have? Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers. And by the way, the anti-vaxxer, I just let's check the anti-vaxxer's crypto account. Well, it's at $108. He gave us 99. It's now at $108. How about that? Thank you. Appreciate it. Y'all keep thinking, some of you out there keep thinking crypto ain't real. Anyway, has your savings account in 6 days given you almost $9 in interest on your money? I doubt that. Especially, you could have $9,000 in your savings account in the bank, and in 5 or 6 days, you won't get $9 of interest. But $99 of Bitcoin, you will then damn right get it. Anyway, what else do we have here? So Rodgers gets fined $14K. And you know what I find funny about this story with Rodgers getting the $14K fine? He's freaking out on the reaction from people all over. What did he expect? Dude, at least I respect Adam Shaheen. I respect Kyrie Irving. Not that I agree with them, because I don't agree. It's a silly vaccine, dude. We've been doing it for 100+ years, from measles to you name it, dude. Spanish flu, everything that's gone on, you name it. And we've always had a vaccine for it, for the damn cold. This is nothing different than everything else that we've had for 100 years. Okay? The vaccine's been out. It's been checked all over. All these idiots at the time, they could be tracking you, or they're putting something in you, or what? Oh, give me a break already. Stop with the silliness. They're not tracking you. They're not doing anything. It's a stupid vaccine that we need for a virus. End of story. But if you believe, okay, even if I disagree with it, but if you believe you don't want to take it for whatever crazy ass reason you want, that's your right. But at least stand up for it. Have some balls. At least Kyrie Irving has some balls. You know where he stands. Adam Shaheen, Beasley up in the Bills. Hey, you know what? I respect that, because you're an American. You get to make your own decision. I may disagree with your decision. I think your decision puts more people at risk. I think your decision slows us down in eliminating this stupid virus. But it's your right. But at least you're being honest, dude. At least you're telling us where you stand. I respect that. The problem with Aaron Rodgers, what he doesn't understand, he's a liar. You lied to people. You misled them. And that's the problem. Listen, there's a section of people in this country that don't believe in the vaccine for whatever crazy reason. None of it's substantiated. None of it has any proof whatsoever, but it's their reason. And in this country, you're allowed to do that. Maybe not in Russia, maybe not, in North Korea. I get it. But here, not in Cuba, but here you are entitled to make that decision, whether we agree or disagree. Aaron had to make that decision publicly. The fact that he lied about it, and he's telling people that he's vaccinated, and then he's putting himself and others at risk, that's the ignorant part. And it's even more ignorant on his ass that he's surprised that Terry Bradshaw's tearing him down, that Howard Stern is ripping into him. He should not be shocked on it. You lied, dude. I appreciate the Bitcoin, my brother. Thank you. My daughter will thank you, because that money I will pass on to her eventually. And I appreciate it. And that $99 you gave me will probably be somewhere in the $700 to $1,000 range by the time I give it to my daughter. So thank you. But, dude, if you've got a stance, then make the stance. The cowardly part is to have a stance, but then be afraid to take it. And that's what he did. He was afraid to take the stance. At least Beasley isn't. At least Kyrie Irving isn't, whether you agree with it or not. But at least we respect them because we know where they stand. And that I can respect. What I can't respect is that you're telling me one thing, but you're doing something completely else. And in this case, it's not just a little lie. You could end up with the virus and you could end up passing it to somebody elderly, somebody that has some kind of a physical condition, and you could end up killing them because you chose to be ignorant and you chose to lie to people. So I'm actually shocked that Aaron Rodgers is this oblivious to the anger that's being spewed his way. He should have expected it because he lied. Bottom line. Again, kind of like Markieff Morris. You get what you deserve. You made a punk move, and now they're pushing your ass down to the ground. And you should be paying that $300,000 fine, not the Packers. The Packers should be paying a $3 million fine for going along with this clown show. Anthony says, Big O, have you ever been to a Dolphin game in the snow? Would you ever do it? Would you ever do it? It's on my bucket list. Dude, I was in a Buffalo Bills Dolphins game in Orchard Park back in the 80s or early 90s for a playoff game, dude. So yes, I was there. You know, was it Roy Foster that did the Snow Angel? It was Roy Foster, right? I want to say it was Roy Foster. Don Beebe broke his leg. That one. I think that's the game. I think Roy did the Snow Angel in that game. I think. Pretty sure. I got bombarded with snow from the Bills fans. We were all in Dolphin garb. Not all. Me and my wife which was my girlfriend in those days. So yes, I've been there. It's, of course, man. Snow games are fun. Not that I want to go to snow games all the time, because living up north, that's a bitch, dude. That's tough. But I'd rather watch them at home in the warmth. But it's an experience, definitely. Let's see. I don't trust anything anymore from the deep people in charge, and I respect people who do get vaccinated, but we live in a society where it would behoove those in charge to manage the unmanageable. Yeah, you're creating all kinds of BS that doesn't exist. What's the vaccine, Lena? What are they doing? What are they doing with the vaccine? What's the government doing, Lena? What is it that you don't trust? Please tell me. Please, I want to hear the jokes. I want to laugh. Come on, tell me. What are they doing? They're trying to kill you? Did every government get together? Let's all create a vaccine that will kill everybody. Did all the governments get together? Hey, let's all inject GPS systems into everybody. Is that what's going on? What's in the vaccine? Huh? What's in the vaccine? Because there's no proof of anything. All it is talking shit. That's all you guys ever do about the anti-vaccine. You talk shit. You talk shit. You talk shit. You talk shit. That's all you ever do. There's no proof. Nothing. It's a joke. It's a joke. But then again, QAnon's a joke. And we got millions of idiots that believe all this QAnon stuff. So please, don't come here with sympathy about the vaccine and the anti-vaccine stance. It's a freaking joke. It's the same thing we do for the colds. It's the same thing we did for the measles. It's the same thing we did for the Spanish flu. It's the same thing we did for the bird flu. Everything that's gone on in the history of time. It's just a stinking vaccine. That's it. Nothing more. Enough. Jesus. People make it sound like, oh my God, and this and that. God. It's just so ridiculous. Really is. Big O, they didn't follow the establishment vaccine development process. This is why the medical professionals in New York would rather get fired than take the shot. Yeah, no, I know. That's right. That's right. 2 billion people have taken it, and we're doing just fine. We're doing just fine, dude. And people that catch it now with the vaccine, nothing happens to them 99.9% of the time. No, I know. Yeah, of course. Of course. Maybe they can make it a little faster because they were concentrating on it instead of concentrating themselves on 80 different vaccines at the same time, that there was no hurry because the world isn't dealing with a pandemic. You ever thought about that? But of course, there's no common sense here. I mean, of course you have to try to rush it and focus more on one thing, and you had a whole bunch of companies focused on one thing. That's why it happens a lot faster. Because there was a rush, because there was desperation, because the world is facing a pandemic. That's why. But hey, man, radically spin it however you want, my brother. Whatever helps you sleep at night, whatever BS you guys want to feed yourselves, you go ahead and feed yourselves all that BS. Go ahead, my brother. It's fine. Keep looking foolish. It's all good. That's it. Please, give me a break. How about, here's Vanguard. It's beyond your intellect to understand. Oh, every vaccine is different. Do you know what's in the vaccine? No, do you know, dude? Do you know? I mean, since you're so smart, let's go. What's in it? I know what's in it. 2 billion people are doing just fine because of it. 2 billion. 2 billion. Let's go. Let it go already. Jesus Christ. Weak ass excuses. That's the problem. You have no substance. All you do is make these claims like Vanguard, and you have no substance. You see, you spin it. Oh, do you know what's in it? You don't know what's in it either, because we're not doctors. I don't create viruses, or I don't create vaccines. I'm not that smart. And neither are you. You don't know jack crap, Van Good. You know what you do? You spun an empty paragraph with nothing. Trying to, again, the typical political argument that goes on. You can't stay on point, so you got to throw it off somewhere else because you can't come up with anything because there's no proof of anything. No one's ever come up with any proof of anything. That's the problem. All right, so here's the other thing. Now, Sean, are you a vodka guy? Do you drink? I haven't really, being around you. Now, when we go out to Vegas and start hanging out in some other place, I'm going to find out. Do you drink at all, Sean? Because what is it, like a beer, or is it hard liquor? Get on the mic, damn it. Come on. Talk to us.
No, I would say
What
both.
do you got?
I'm very light on that.
Are you a vodka guy?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. Did you know that Arby's is releasing a new vodka?
Arby's, the roast beef?
In recent years, many companies have discovered there's no better way to drum up free publicity than rolling out an unconventional product that primarily exists to make people wonder, why does that exist? These promotional stunts come in many shapes, forms, ranging from the mac and cheese flavored ice cream to a chicken sandwich served on a bun made of sour airheads. However, A lot of brands have realized there's one particular well-tested method that they can harness when it comes to piquing people's interest. Throw some booze into the mix. Taco Bell last year unexpectedly classed up its menu by debuting a red wine, and now another major fast food player is getting in on the action, Arby's, which is gearing up to launch a limited edition line of French fry-inspired vodka. Sean is just shaking his head going, I like food. I like vodka, but I don't want this right now. That's what I'm seeing from Sean right now. I, by the way, put the tweet there on the on our Twitter page at Big O Show. You can go over there and check it out, and you can vote. You can vote on the poll. It says, for a limited time, quantities extremely limited, proudly distilled by Tatters Alco and distributed by Surtees Liquor. Must be 21 plus. Drink responsibly. Will you have the Arby's French fried flavored vodka? Say that fast. A, yes. B, a double shot yes. C, is this real? How are you gonna answer that? I'm just gonna put I put C, is this real? And 70% of the vote so far says C, is this real? 21% said they want a double shot, and only 9% said yes. I mean, let me tell you something. That sounds as disgusting as it could possibly be. Well, no, I mean, it could probably be worse than French fried vodka. I think we could come up with something worse than French fried vodka. But French fried vodka? Oh, God. That's just not something that I really, really want. By the way, one of the listeners on the text line, because I've been catching up with the text line at 855-912-1056, was a big Journeys fan, and never seen Journey with Steve Perry. And since I've been to a lot of shows, he or she, because I'm not sure if it was a he or she, was asking me about, the experience of back in the day of seeing Journey and seeing Steve Perry and all. And let me tell you, if you have an opportunity to see Journey now with Arnel Pineda, it's an excellent show. It really is. This version of Journey does a really good job, and Arnel is the closest thing ever to Steve Perry. I mean, when they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Steve Perry gave a shout out to Arnel and told him he loved him and everything. I mean, that's the kind of vibe. Steve is very comfortable with all of this because he doesn't want to be a rock star anymore. He doesn't want to travel around the world, and he did that for many years, and he got tired of it. And it sucks for a lot of you out there, especially that listener that was telling me, because I know there's a lot of you out there that are younger, and you've learned to love Journey because, I mean, their catalog is just sick. And you never got to see Steve Perry, and I feel for that. But I'm telling you, going to see Arnel is not a bad thing. It's a very good thing. It's a very impressive thing. He's really, really good. He does a really good job, and he's grown as a front man also. He was very shy early on when they started this. He didn't really move a lot. Body language wasn't, now you see him, and he's a completely different person. He's electrifying on stage, running around from one end to another and really into it and comfortable. He's really comfortable now is what he is and what he's doing. And so it's a really good experience. But being in the, one of the things for those of us that lived it, and I'm sure people that lived the 60s or the 70s or even the 80s and maybe even into the 90s to a certain extent, but the concerts were amazing. And whether it was the Sportatorium, which was a barn, but man, it was our barn, and it was fun, and it was loud, and it was filled of smoke. Whether if you smoked pot or not, you were still going to smoke pot or not. Either way, you were in that building, because I wasn't smoking, but I ended up because obviously all the smoke is in the air, and you're like, holy crap. And it was a great place. And one of the things that I miss about the Sporto in the 80s or the 70s, and I'm sure those of us that experienced it, was the tailgating. It was a great atmosphere before the games, which we don't really get a lot of that nowadays. There's a little bit of that at in Palm Beach at the whatever Cruzan, Sony, Perfect Vodka, whatever it's called now, Coral Sky, whatever. That's the one place where I see a little tailgating going on, but it's not like it used to be in the Sporto. The Miami Baseball Stadium was such a blast. The Sunrise Musical Theater, which we talked about a while back. Talk about the James L. Knight Center. There was just so many. There were Miami Baseball Stadium. That was another place, one of the best places ever for a concert in South Florida is Miami Marine Stadium. Not Miami Baseball Stadium, Miami Marine Stadium. I went to several concerts there. And I remember, from seeing Molly Hatchet and the Outlaws to Air Supply. I remember taking a girlfriend of mine to Air Supply at the Miami Marine Stadium. I mean, I saw a bunch of bands over the years there at Miami Marine Stadium, and that is a majestic place to see it because it was a terrific little venue with a roof and everything, and then the stage was on the water, and then you had the backdrop of the downtown area, and it was that's a venue that never should have gotten ruined. And I hear they're going to try to bring it back, which I wish they would, because I miss that place. I would love to have that place open again, for concerts. And whether it's free concerts like on the beach, on Fort Lauderdale Beach, behind the Yankee Clipper and things like that. It was the 80s were a fun time. I'll tell you, as a guy that thoroughly lived the 80s and saw concerts everywhere from Atlantis to, all kinds of different places and clubs and you name it, from the Agora Ballroom and Button South and Penrod's and everything else that has been around for many, many years back in the day. It was a fun time. So for those of you that are a little younger that you were asking me about it, it was an era that I will never forget. I'll tell you that. Brett Dodger says, I saw Pink Floyd do the Dark Side of the Moon tour in the 70s, and even the staff were taking joints were passed down the line all night long. I remember seeing Pink Floyd in the Orange Bowl in just a monsoon, bro. A monsoon. And I had a buddy of mine that was a major pothead, right? I mean, he was a chain smoking pothead, okay? So he loved to smoke. And he was ready for the concert. He had, I don't know, I want to say 6, 7, 8 joints rolled. So we go into the show and it starts to pour. And I'm not talking about light rain. I'm talking about an effing monsoon, if anybody remembers that. I want to say it was very late 80s, that Pink Floyd concert. And dude, it was the funniest thing in the world because he couldn't live without smoking, right? And I didn't give a crap. I wasn't smoking, so I didn't care, but I'm laughing. And he's trying to light his joints. And that water's coming sideways, and he's trying to put, he brought a raincoat, and he's trying to put the raincoat over so he could try to, but it was wind and rain, and that thing would end up getting all wet and just like, let me date myself. It looked like a Virginia Slims commercial on the billboards. Pulled that one out, huh? Anyway, so it was just hilarious. So we were going to back-to-back nights. So we're going to the next day, we're going up to the Sombrero, because back in those days, there was no new stadium. It was the Sombrero in Tampa, and we went to go see Floyd again. And sure enough, dude, that storm went up north. Same thing. He got pissed. And that's all he could talk about from that concert for years after. He was like, damn, man, I couldn't smoke at that concert. I hated that concert. And I'm like, dude, come on, really? It was a great show. Rain or not, it was a great show. It's like, no, I couldn't smoke. So it was a fun time in the 80s. I'll say that. All over the place, man. Can't complain about that. By the way, has there been any news in Odell Beckham? Because he cleared waivers. Have you seen anything, Sean? Because I just made a note of it on it, but I haven't seen. Well, now I see a report here. Some think OBJ will land with the Saints.
Yeah, there's 3 teams: Saints, Chiefs, and Packers. I believe were the 3 teams he's looking at.
Wow, I would go to the Packers if I'm him, because him and Devontae Adams, that would make, I mean, if he can actually stay on the field. Now it is cold over there. That's not good for a little softy like him with his little hamstrings. So I don't know, but Green Bay would be good for him actually, because you got a legit quarterback there, and Devontae Adams has to command attention. And even they've made what is it, Tonyan or whatever, the tight end, they made him pretty serviceable, and they've got a good running game. I think Green Bay would make a lot of sense there. With the Saints, you have an inconsistent quarterback. So that's the problem with the Saints. That's not a good situation. What was the third team you said? Saints, Green Bay, and what else? Chiefs. You said Chiefs. That's right. But the Chiefs have so many weapons. He would bitch and moan and complain about not getting the ball. You know what I mean? So you had a malcontent already with Le'Veon Bell. If you're the Chiefs, your season's already kind of, hazy as it is. I wouldn't add Odell. I don't think Odell Beckham in that mix right now is a good idea for the Chiefs. Now for Green Bay with Rodgers and the receiver, I like it. I mean, I wouldn't trust Odell Beckham as far as I can throw him. You know what I mean? I don't want him on my team, but if I'm Green Bay, I mean, you're Aaron Rodgers. What the hell, dude? You only got one shot. You're done after this. You're moving on. So you don't care what's left over or whatever happens. So you're just going to play your year and then get the hell out. Packers and Patriots are in the running. God, he's not a Belichick guy at all. Big O, vodka is potato-based alcohol, so it's really not that much of a stretch. You're right, but it doesn't taste like French fries. Okay, you're right. Okay, I totally understand that that's where the base comes from, but when I'm drinking vodka, I'm never thinking potatoes. I'm never thinking French fries. I'm not thinking of a baked potato. I'm not thinking about anything you can create with potatoes. You know what I'm saying? So you're right. You're right. I can't argue that, but you got to also admit that it doesn't taste like fries. But dude, that was good. That was good. I like that. That was good. I saw Pink Floyd. Oh no. Lena says, my dog Lena thinks you yelled at her. My viewpoint was more of a theoretical conversation. I didn't say it was a certainty that mass manipulation was. There's no mass manipulation. Why even mention it? It's silly, Lena. It's silly. Tell your dog it's also silly. And I love dogs. You know that. I've got 5 of them. Okay? Love dogs. I love you for loving dogs. It's silly. They're not manipulating anything. They're not tracking us. We're trying to save each other. That's it. We're trying to help each other. Ray, by the way, thank you, sir. I see you on the text. Thank you for giving us a little love on the Cash App. I saw that. You dropped in a little love on the Cash App. Very nice. Appreciate you immensely. Let me just make sure, because I have not checked Venmo. Remember, our Cash App and Venmo links are at the bottom of this YouTube page. And if you're listening to the podcast, you can also support us through Cash App or Venmo, Cash Big O Show. That is Cash Big O Show. Okay. I wouldn't admit to Air Supply. Why wouldn't I admit that? Dude, I took a girlfriend to Air Supply. What's wrong with that, man? There's nothing wrong with that. You can make fun of me. Hey man, I'm comfortable of who I am, so I got no problem with that. Okay, I've gone to Air Supply, like I've gone to see Tom Jones several times. I've seen Neil Diamond. I've seen Roberta Flack. I don't know what more you want to make fun of me on. I've seen Culture Club. I got a Culture Club shirt actually. It was actually a cool shirt. That's why I ended up buying it because I knew I would trip people out if I would wear that shirt. What else? And I can tell you about a couple bands over the years that you probably would make fun of me. You know what I mean? But on the Air Supply one, I was taking a girlfriend. I mean, it's kind of the concert you want to take a girl to. You know what I'm saying? Culture Club, you go with the wife. You know, that's kind of what it is. You're not really going with your buddy and headbanging and all that. And yeah, that's what we're doing with Culture Club. No, that's not what's going on. But yeah. Oh, the Mahi Temple. Cidola whips out. Holy crap, Cidola, you are classic. You are classic. Concerts and boxing at the Mahi Shrine, baby. Yeah. Right off the Miami River. I remember that place. I forgot about that place, man. That's a good memory on your part, man. I forgot about the days of going out to the Mahi Temple. That was awesome. Let's see. Thomas says, took a girl to Air Supply Sunrise Musical Theater. Hell yeah, dude. And by the way, Air Supply is really good. They've got like a crap ton of songs. Not all vodka is potato based. What a corn is it or something? I don't know, dude. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not a what is that? What would be what's the name of the person that creates liquor or whatever? Whatever it is. I'm not one of those. I have no idea. I do know about potato. I know that it is part of the vodka, but what is it? Corn or something else is also vodka? Okay. Didn't know that. Alex Diaz says, wow, Tom Jones. Of course, dude. Got to see Tom Jones. It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. No. Come on, man. Hey, I saw Chris Kirkpatrick, Joey Fatone, and NSYNC and AJ of Backstreet Boys with my fiance at Live Nightclub last month. Why not, dude? Nothing wrong with that. You know, listen, I can't really, although I took my wife a couple years back to the Judas Priest concert. She'll go to hardcore concerts with me every once in a blue moon, but it's not really her thing. So, I'm going to take her to a concert like Green Day, or I'm going to take her to, something like Tom Jones or, something like that. It's, with the ladies, they're not always going to be on the edgy side. You know what I'm saying? Some ladies are. And if any of you gentlemen out there have a lady in your life that loves to go to a nice hard rock and metal show, well, then God bless you, bro. That's fantastic. AB says vodka may be distilled from any starch or sugar-rich plant matter. Most vodka today is produced from grains such as sorghum, corn, rye, or wheat. Dude, what the hell is sorghum? I don't even know if I pronounced it right. I've never even heard of that. Ab, either you got that from somewhere or you're a smart dude. You know your liquor or whatever it is. It's amazing. I did not know that. And I don't know what the hell sorghum is. But I guess it's some kind of starch or sugar-rich plant matter, I would imagine. But I am not smart enough to know what sorghum is. Vodka from grains, mostly wheat. Okay. You guys are now teaching me. Lena says, saw AC/DC with Fastway. I was there too, Lena. At the Hollywood Sportatorium. I think that's the name of the venue. Yes. Say what you will, and you will. Pete, what is it? Pete Way, and Fast Eddie Clark were the main guys from Fastway. There you go. Pete Way was from Def Leppard, right? And then Fast Eddie Clark played with Motorhead, if I'm correct, right? I think that's how it goes. Let's see. Sure, today vodka can be made from anything. Oh, well. I had no idea I was going to get a vodka education today from you guys. You're awesome. Jay says, I saw Air Supply at the old Gulfstream Racetrack Sunday's concert series. There you go. You see? Nothing wrong with that. Hale says, I saw Prince at the LA Forum Purple Rain Tour. Yeah, I saw that Purple Rain Tour, but it was in the OB. So you saw it at a better place because the Forum, my God, I love the Forum. Although I don't know if acoustically the Forum back in those days is like the Forum now, that when they redid it and they redid it specifically for concerts and the acoustics are just, let me tell you, before they take down the LA Forum, if you have the money, if you have the time, and if you find a band that you love, I suggest go out for a couple days to LA, enjoy yourselves, and go experience a concert at the LA Forum. Acoustically, one of the best arenas in the country to see a concert. I have seen several concerts there, and it is, I will travel with no problem, no hesitation to LA just to see a great band at the Forum because it is an awesome experience. Just a little tip. Okay. All right. Heat back in action tonight at 10 o'clock. Panthers are off tonight. Thursday, they will visit Pitt at 7 o'clock. Saturday, they visit Tampa Bay. So this is a nice stretch for them. They need to bounce back here over the next couple of weeks. Next couple of games after a couple of really rough starts. We thank Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro, as always, Alan Poupart, Franco Panizo, and, of course, the man, the myth, the legend that is Sean Stanley. But most of all, I thank all of you out there. I love you all. Thank you for supporting all of us. Don't believe the silly stuff that's out there. Come on, relax. Don't fall. Don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe, okay? All right? It's just a vaccine. Anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow, same time. Well, we're on the road tomorrow, right? No, we're in studio. That's right. Tomorrow, remember, abbreviated show. We start at 10 a.m. I don't know when I'll end. Maybe 11:30, something like that. And then we'll be back for the evening. We will see you at Sports Grill for the Ravens and the Dolphins, starting off at 6:20 our coverage, and then we'll come back to you on the post-game show with Flo and every other press conference that's available. See you tomorrow. Much love out there. Be safe.
This is the Big O Show.
Sports fans love a place with great food, cold drinks, and TVs everywhere. That's why sports fans love Sports Grill and their 7 amazing locations. Check out the Bird Road location at 11481 Southwest 40th Street in the back corner of the West Bird Shopping Center. Sports Grill is also now offering some great employment opportunities. All kinds of positions are now available from kitchen to hosting. Call for more information at 305-485-8845. From wraps to salads to amazingly delicious specialty dishes, Sports Grill is the home to the legendary special grilled wings. Since 1987, Sports Grill, good food, good drink, and good friends.
It's the Big O Show.